what do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch in the Room.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Monday show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. It is Muskox season, and if you are an MSU football fan or a Lions fan today, do yourself a favor. Wrap yourself in the comfort and quality of a Muskox flannel. You will love the feel. You'll love the look. You'll look like your best self. You'll feel like your new self. You'll be able to forgive offensive coordinators. You'll be able to think differently about head coaches, more clearly. It's the self-confidence you need. All you need to know is Michigan State hockey has an NIL deal with Muskox Flannels, and look how well they play. You think that's an accident? You think that just happened? You think this is Adam Nightingale? This is Muskox. Go to gomuskox.com where you can use the promo code PEACOCK for $15 off your Muskox purchase. Gomuskox.com. Jason, how you doing, brother? I mean, I felt all of Fred Human.
No. Oh, sorry, I forgot. We didn't win. Hey, man. What's going on?
Doing okay?
Yeah. Let's get to these hot takes.
You just doesn't want to move on?
I fucking hate sports sometimes. Great World Series, though. No pressure, Tom. Just got to beat Colgate by 25 to make everybody feel good tonight. No worries, right? I'm going to cover that spread. Is there a spread out?
I think it's
college basketball is back.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if I'd touch that spread.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Because for a couple reasons. One, like, if you look at Colgate's results last year, they're all over the place. They played like decent teams to a 2-point loss.
Are we talking about crushing tape from Colgate last year?
And then,
I mean, come on.
Well, and then they played other teams that weren't very good to like a 25-point loss. They weren't as good last year as they. Stay the hell away from. If you're betting this, you're just trying to get over the weekend that was in football.
Trying to get that money back from yesterday. Come on.
It was a rough NFL day in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The only thing that made the weekend great was the quality of the World Series, and
you using the word bloodlust in a column about Jonathan Smith. I love that.
You're welcome.
It was good, man. You did a lot of good work this weekend.
No, thank you.
It annoyed me, but you do good work in the fact of, because people often ask me, like, why you compliment Graham, but I hate his work. And I'm like, I know, but he gets the people going. Like, you don't understand what he's doing. He's getting the people talking and getting people angry at him, and he takes the shit. So I see what Graham is doing. He did a good job this weekend. Well, I absolutely despise you this morning.
I'm not. It's not like
I really am annoyed by you, because I'm the people that want to keep Jonathan Smith. I can't.
Well, we got
the shucks and like, oh man, maybe we should keep him around from where. Like, what are we talking about? I mean, people have given up. They don't even want to watch the game against Minnesota, which is rightfully so. Even though he's the point spread king, I think we should want him to stay around. Could make some money off old Johnny Boy. Oh shucks,
he does keep covering.
Or are we making money off Rossi and Smith is just standing there? Which one is it? But who cares about the point spread on the team? Let's talk about it.
I do think Jonathan Smith's mistake. I mean, there were a few mistakes that were made during this game, and there are lots of reasons they lost, and the officiating is part of that, and we're going to get into that during
both
the listener
leagues,
hot takes.
College football, NFL. Yep. Kiss my ass.
Yep, definitely.
How do you tackle a quarterback?
Definitely a theme week too in the NFL where like I hate these weeks. People act like things aren't connected. How do the Colts lose to the Steelers and turn the ball over 5 times? The Packers lose to the Panthers. The Lions lose to the Vikings. Like it's all.
You mean like National Tight End Week last weekend where every fucking tight end scored? I mean, come on. The NFL's rigged. It's WWE. I despise it.
I love
it at the same time.
The mistake Jonathan Smith made at the end of this game was when he was asked by Connor Eargood about to judge his performance over 21 games at Michigan State, and he did his usual shtick about, well, not good enough, and which is fine. Like people. It's
about wins and losses.
At the beginning, you do need that accountability, right? At some point, and there are coaches who struggle with that accountability. You immediately go into excuses, and he has not done that. But this was a moment where I think I would have stuck up for myself a little bit. Like I think it's too late for what's coming. I think they're going to make a coaching change at the end of this year. That does not change.
Call Connor Eargood out. Why don't you come up here and tell me how you do it? And hand him the microphone.
I wouldn't call him out. I wouldn't make it contentious, but I would just point out that, you maybe had your best defensive performance. You're missing some guys, and yet you were pretty good on offense. You racked up nearly 600 yards. You had a new starting quarterback who hung in there, who you've worked to develop. And you had a young kicker miss a couple field goals. You had a couple calls go your way, and you screwed up a couple things that didn't go as well. You could have done better as a coaching staff. But ultimately, this is progress, because it was tangible progress. It's not enough progress. It's too late progress. It's not something that's going to change the tide for him. But these are the moments where, instead of just giving the athletic director standing in the room a reason to fire you, that you just haven't been good enough, I would fight for myself a little bit. And I think he's giving people what he thinks they want to hear, and at this point, that's not it anymore. And it would be very hard for him to actually give people what they really wanted to hear.
Jay Batt's going to come up here and tell us why we don't have enough money to get players here. Come on, Jay, get up here. I would take that. Any sort of emotion out of old Johnny Boy.
He showed a tiny bit on the sidelines.
But why is it bad for fans to want something to happen when you're watching everything around you in this stupid landscape of college football we have? To want a fan, I think it's okay for a fan base to go, what is going on here? And watching the destruction of their favorite college football team.
I think it's 100% okay for a fan base to say, I'd like a change and I'd like it now. I think it's 100% okay for an athletic director to say, I'm working on that. That change will come. That change will happen.
Is it okay for fans to say, well, why don't we give Jonathan Smith another season?
It's okay to say anything. Whatever you feel.
There's no juice. Bring him back. I almost want it to happen so I can see this. He would have to be the greatest coach in the history of college football. Move over Nick Saban. Jonathan Smith is going to turn this thing around with one more year. I mean, I don't know.
Hold on. I may disagree with it. You may disagree with it. Most people may disagree with it, but it's a fine argument to have. It's an argument I want to hear. And it's an argument some fans are going to make in our quick takes, and we're going to get into them. It's not – look, I think college football today, more than ever, you need momentum. You need some sort of reason to believe going forward that it can get better. And there has been none of that under Jonathan Smith. And so I don't see how that changes between now and the end of the year. The move to Alessio was I don't want to say bold, because –
I was surprised.
Bold's too much, but it was surprising, and I give them credit.
I feel like
for that.
That's bold out of Jonathan Smith.
Yeah,
I feel like it's bold.
That's fair. Yeah, this is the quarterback at Aiden Childs that you've been tied to. Yep. He came with you, that you paid a lot of money for, and obviously you went with Milivojevic, which you're going to get to pronounce a little bit. Yeah,
E-Dog.
Millie, as some people call him, Millie. But. So I do think, and he looked good. And the thing that, he wasn't perfect, and he wasn't very good in the red zone, and part of that was play calling, and part of that's him thinking he's Michael Vick or Randall Cunningham or Aiden Childs in the red zone, and they got to play call differently down there for that. And that run by him that left them on the right hash that set up that field goal at that tough angle, you got to make the field goal, but again, that's not the play you run. The play before you're going to have to kick that field goal to put you on that hash as well. But the thing he did that was better than Aiden Childs has been doing is he hung in there. And that's a real talent. That's a real gift. That's a knack. And it's something that I guess you could lose your confidence over time. But he hung in there and took hits and hung in there to the last second to make throws. And that's the difference that we haven't seen in Aiden Childs. Aiden Childs at this point, and some of it's losing confidence, I do think he was making progress at certain points early this season. I think we saw a good quarterback in there. But he has some instincts that work against him. And if you're a high school coach and you wind up with a guy like Aiden Childs on your team, listen to me here. You cannot let that guy cross the line of scrimmage with his legs until the fourth quarter. Because at that stage, they have to develop eyes downfield throwing first. And by the time they get to college, if that instinct is different, it's too late in a lot of ways. That I've come firmly to believe. And that's part of Aiden Childs' struggles, is he knows he can fix it with his legs in a moment, and he can get out of things, and he can do special things with his legs. But ultimately, to be a successful quarterback, that can't be your instinct. And what we saw with Alessio, Millie.
E-Dog.
Yeah. Milivojevic.
Mm-hmm. Are you testing it out?
I'm testing it. If I can do it repeatedly. Otherwise, I'm just going to ask him to change his name. But is a different knack, and that's going to give him a chance to be a really good quarterback. And so, had they done this earlier, when when he came in at Nebraska and was really good, and was that the moment that he was actually the better quarterback and they should have gone with him? I think it was tough back then. But again, it wouldn't have taken much to have this conversation be different, for Jonathan Smith to have a certain third year. Think about this. Nebraska sucks.
Yeah.
Michigan State should have beaten them. They're 6-3.
I was fooled by Nebraska.
They just extended
a Matt Rule coach team.
They're so fearful of losing their coach. They just extended him with a new deal. All right? You got PJ Fleck is.
Well, you don't want him leaving.
PJ Fleck is crowd surfing into the locker room after beating Michigan State, who has lost 6 straight now.
Wearing a vest with a tie.
Not a very good team. 4-2 in the Big Ten, which is horrible things about the Big Ten. If you're Tony Batiti, you need to shut the F up about auto bids to the playoff right now, because you got a 4-2 team that looks like Minnesota. That can't be your case. You just let it play out, okay? That is not good. But they're as good as Minnesota. They're better than Minnesota in certain ways. They could beat, if they played Minnesota 10 times, other than their knack for losing the games, just pound for pound, they would win that game 5 times at least. And so if you win those 2 games, forget UCLA. That can be a bad week, a UCLA team that found itself and things went wrong. But if they win those 2 games, they're 5-4. And the conversation is completely different. And that was completely controllable. And that was something this coaching staff should have been able to get out of this team, something this team should have done. And ultimately, those teams have some sort of momentum somehow, even though they're awful, or at least bad, or barely average. And Michigan State doesn't, and they're probably going to make a change at the coach because he doesn't connect with people. And
but do you think if Smith made a choice at quarterback to maybe make a change in that Nebraska game? I think that's what separates good coaches. When you do it against Minnesota, when everybody's given up on you, is it that big of a deal? I think for Smith it was a big move, but in the grand scheme of things, when you look at it, is it that big of a move? No.
Well, and here's the thing. You go back to that Nebraska game and where things were, right? Until that point, there was no evidence that you were going to need to make a quarterback change. The previous few weeks had been the best of Aiden Child's career. Even at USC, their previous game. And then he starts getting shaken and losing his confidence that game. He does get knocked out, and they bring Alessio in. It would have been interesting if they just left him in the rest of the way. But at that point in the season, I totally get it. Alessio right now, I think, is a better quarterback than Aiden Childs in certain ways. Now, there's an argument that, and you want to be really creative, you're trying to win games, I might have gone back to Childs in the red zone, down at the goal line, where you have more options, and he's been pretty good this season. And I would have said that before the season, because if you're starting Alessio and you're telling him you're the guy this game, but in the red zone we may use Aiden Childs, that's not insulting him by pulling him out. That's using all the weapons at your disposal. I might have considered that because they were not very good in the red zone. But that's a rough way to lose. The officiating was. I do think these officials might get in trouble, and there will be people look into this, because here's why. Judgment calls can get you downgraded. There's no question. If you make a number, if you're not good at this, if you make bad judgment calls, you will get graded poorly as a ref. But how you administer the game is where refs really get in trouble, or where things really go wrong for them. And when you have a situation where you call a pass interference, and it's called long enough to the point that you've respotted the ball, that people are lining up for the next play, and one coach is going berserk, the crowd may have seen a replay, and then another guy comes in and you change it. That is an awful look. Whether it was a legitimate pass interference call, and you can argue, it was chintzy. Either way, you don't overturn that call. And the fact that they did and how they did, I think it will be interesting to see if they do get in trouble. I think, as Chris Solari put it, he's still waiting for an email back from the Big Ten on things he asked about the Michigan game last year. So how quickly we hear back, I will. But the first time we may hear something will be next week's Jonathan Smith press conference, when he will be asked about it, and we'll find out a little bit
There'll
more.
There'll be an apology. I'm a Lions fan. I'm used to those. They happen on Monday.
Yeah.
They mean nothing.
But I don't think I don't think he's getting fired before the end of the season. If it was going to happen, it was going to be this Sunday. I don't think that was a game that should lead to that. And you can say, well, there are bad play calls and other things. But what is the advantage of firing him now, Jason? You feeling good?
No, not at all. I don't feel good about the situation whatsoever. I mean, if you want to keep Smith in there as the headset wearer guy, I don't care. And watch Rossi jump off there. Having Rossi coach the team, and having Smith gone doesn't mean anything to me. I don't think. I just don't understand the fan base wanting Smith to come back for another year. Like,
there's very few. I think that's
if you want him to as a placeholder. I'm just talking about the optics of keeping a guy like Jonathan Smith, a dead man walking, when everybody else is blowing their coaches out. If you don't care about the optics of that, I just want to be in the big grand scheme of college football the way it is now. And that's how you have to act. You have to overreact.
Bullshit.
There's no reason to keep Smith in here.
Bullshit. Optics are destabilized. I mean, Florida is a program that constantly destabilizes itself. LSU is not doing it the right way. No. What you want to do if you're Michigan State is give yourself a chance long-term to be the best program you can be. Whatever that is, right? And if that means, Jonathan Smith needs to be.
Are they the best program they can be right now?
No, but if that means he needs to be fired immediately for you to long term be better, then you would do that. I don't see a reason to get rid. I don't see a reason to destabilize things now. I don't see a reason to put in every player's head that there's a definite change coming, and so you need to think about your own future and start being meddled with. I don't see the advantage of it. It doesn't mean you can't work behind the scenes. It doesn't mean you're not thinking about exactly what you're going to do. It doesn't mean things aren't in motion.
But is this building momentum, having a dead man walking, coach your football team, when a defensive coordinator in Rossi, your boy, he's animated, excited, throwing his headset? I mean, it builds more momentum than a dead man walking, having a headset, and not saying anything or doing anything.
Now, Joe Rossi
saying the wrong things after a game.
Having a interim coach rarely. Now, I understand there are circumstances where that has worked. Having an interim coach rarely stabilizes things, rarely improves the situation. You could have Rossi doing exactly what he's doing now, which is focusing on the defense, by the way, and getting the most out of that group. And I think he's doing a nice job, and they probably should have brought him down to the sidelines earlier. Another coaching move that probably happened too late. But if you make a move now, I don't see any reason that gives you momentum. All it does is say this shit hasn't worked. And things are up in the air. And until you have a new person in place, there is no momentum anyway. So all you're doing, if you're Michigan State.
So then don't watch the rest of the season.
Well, that's fine. If I were
Is it cool if I check out then? I mean, not 100%. For the show. I like to tune in for the talk of it. I'm saying if I was just a fan that didn't have a podcast, then I'd have to watch this shit.
100%.
Right?
Watch basketball, watch the Lions.
But if Rossi were the head coach, I would tune in to see maybe if there can be some momentum and see how these guys react to him. I don't know. I just don't understand how it can be beneficial to the university in any capacity to keep Smith as a dead man walking coach and putting him in front of the media time and time again where he can't handle it, apparently. He always says the wrong thing, and it's just like, but that's fine. If you want to keep him out there as the placeholder guy, and then after the season, how many more, a month after the season you want to fire him? I mean, when is good? When can everybody be happy?
If you're going to make a move, it happens the day after the final game. It happens that Sunday.
All right.
Sunday, Thanksgiving week.
All right.
That's when it happens.
All right. Well, I would expect most of the fan base to be like, all right, we'll see you then. I'll be back then.
That's okay. They've got basketball.
Is that good? Is that momentum? Is that good for your university? Is that good? I just don't think it is. I know Jonathan Smith. He's a nice guy. Oh, shucks and shit. You don't want to fire him. You want to be there's families involved, and there's going to be moving. No.
This is not about
But it's like, fuck, who cares?
This is not about Jonathan Smith. I don't think, look, Jonathan Smith is going to be fine. What you do.
If I was Jonathan Smith, I would be like, please fire me. Get me out of this.
Here's
Are they just making him earn his $30 million? I mean,
there are other arguments to this, and we'll get into some of them here in the quick takes in a little bit because people make it both ways, and we're going to get into those a little bit. What is your first take?
Listen, Frank Ragnow, I'm going to beg you here. I know you probably don't listen to this podcast. Maybe you see it on YouTube. Please, what's it going to take for you to come back for the Lions? What would we have to do? Fishing boat, a yacht. We'll buy you a yacht to go fishing on after this season. I know you have enough money. But Graham Glasgow is complete. I'm sure you know, Frank. He's complete ass, and I can't deal with him anymore. And this offensive line scares me going forward. Now there's injuries going across the NFL, and our injuries are not different than many other teams right now. But my God, that offensive line. And Brian Flores, I know it. I know he's going to blitz. Everybody that crushes tape knows that motherfucker's going to blitz time and time again. And it just seemed like yesterday, the Lions, the offensive line had no idea. And Gibbs not protecting Goff there, missing a couple blocks. I mean, it just, like Dan Campbell said, all three phases were absolutely shit yesterday. And for somehow we had a chance to still win that game. So the sky isn't falling. right? You lose to Washington next week with the injuries that they have, then we can start panicking and the sky's falling. There's a lot of football. Ebbs and flows of an NFL season are wild. It blows. But, man, did that game suck yesterday.
Do you think Frank Ragnow has kept himself in any sort of shape to play NFL football?
Doesn't matter. I don't care if he got fat or whatever. I mean,
He would've lost
how long
weight,
has it
most
been?
likely.
Yeah, usually those guys drop a ton of weight.
Yeah.
We can fatten him back up, get him some groovy donuts, live read for you. But I'm being serious because I don't know what the options. We want to talk about Brad Holmes, the trade deadline, and what he can do for the defensive side. But offensive line, it's so hard to bring in guys and plug and play those guys mid-season. So I don't know what, but watching a team like the Eagles and they get their defensive end. I think they overpaid for the Dolphins guy, the defensive end there for the 3rd round pick. I'm not saying do something crazy like that, but I feel like on that other side with Muhammad, we just need to upgrade that defensive end. We're so close to being a really good on that defensive line, and that's how we're going to win games, right? The offense scares me. With that offensive line crumbling and having Goff, who's immobile, just really scares me going forward. Because that offense looked really stagnant yesterday. Started off great with Laporta. I don't know why we just didn't keep going to Laporta. Amon-Ra with 9 catches yesterday, but
you still win that game if you don't get the Montgomery fumble.
True.
And so for all the things, and J.J. McCarthy looked pretty good at times, and he took a lot of shit recently.
Got to get to McCarthy. Like I say it over and over again, these guys in the NFL, even backups, they can tear you up. They're in the NFL. They're professional guys. If you can't get to them, that's the frustrating part. And Alex Anzalone, anal zone, fucking hell. This guy wants a contract extension. And by the way, Jack Campbell, can someone tell me what a fucking sack is? That penalty on Jack Campbell, where how are you supposed to sit there and tackle a quarterback and then let go at the end? We've talked about it.
It was a bad call. And Brady said it really well in the broadcast. The biggest problem with it is not only do you punish the defense, but you reward the offense for not picking up a blitz. And it's a hugely, and I understand technically maybe it's the right call. They got to get that out of the sport. They got to get that.
Well, tell me then. This Macaulay asshole, or who's the Sterator or whoever it is, why don't you come on the air and show me how to fucking tackle a quarterback?
Yeah, no,
please tell me.
That was a bad situation.
Show me that play again and go, what did Jack Campbell do wrong?
You know the weirdest thing about yesterday? I was watching that game on the treadmill, as one does, watching on Xfinity, which
damn, you had everything going.
Brutal, or just a brutal situation though, and. The reason it reminded me of the 1990s. Like, I watched that game, the way it was going, even when they were
coming
to go
back to the 90s.
Nah, but it felt like Johnny Morton, Brett Perriman, Herman Moore, Barry Sanders. Like, they had all these weapons, and it was going to be competitive and interesting, but they weren't going to win it. And that's not the way the Lions have felt for a while. It felt like an old school, exciting talent Lions team that doesn't quite have it. And they haven't played like that. A lot of penalties. Just, look,
but again, it starts with Ragnow. When you have a guy retire like that before a season,
100%.
You just can't replace an all-pro center like that.
Do you do something this before the trade deadline and try to make a move?
You have to. You absolutely have to. We have to do something in the trade deadline. I mean, even if you look at Aiden Hutchinson's contract, the contract extension that he signed, in the second year, a lot of that money is deferred, so everybody's speculating that means Holmes is going to make a move here. But again, it's easier said than done when it comes to the offensive line to get a guy that can come in and help you, not even a guy like Ragnow could, even if he came back, because he knows the system.
Is it worth, like, to me, if you're going to go make that move, you don't just get a plug average guy and give up a 3rd round pick.
No.
To me, it's worth a first. If
if you're going to give up a 3rd, you need some upside on the back end of it.
100%.
You can't just have a guy that's a rental like the Hendrickson thing. It's like he's going to be a free agent after the season. If he wants to re-sign with the Lions, then I can understand.
If this is your window, which we all agree it is, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
If I'm the Lions, I'm willing to give up a 1st round pick to go find the best lineman that fits what you need on a struggling team that's not making the playoffs right now. And because, granted, like, you would happily spend a 1st round pick on that player. So obviously you're not going to do it on somebody who's 32 years old. And you do have to watch the contract stuff. And I get if somebody's already been paid, you may not have the ability to do that. Yeah. So maybe it's a younger lineman, and those guys are harder to get. But that's why it's going to cost you a 1st round pick. To me, if you're the Lions, it is worth doing things right now because you are in a spot where, man, I mean, you can see it some weeks, and this was one of those weeks where it just.
But I don't think the windows, like, I hate talking about the window part of it. I think that we could, build something to have a future right? Not just a 5-year window, then we go back to shit for 15 years. Like, I want to keep it going. Like, I don't want to, because we have this short window everybody thinks we have, that we just have to get rid of all of our assets to go
I'm
for
not saying
it
get
this
rid of
year.
your assets.
No, I know. But you know what I mean? When we talk about those windows, I know what you're saying, but I also don't want to overpay.
Can they win a Super Bowl right now without adding to the offensive line?
No.
Then they need to, then it's worth spending a first-round pick to do it.
Sure. And I think you could say that about the defense. The thing is, if the defensive line, if you add an edge guy to match with Hutchinson, with Aleem McNeil and those other guys, I mean, I just think we could be scary on that side too. But something has to, I mean, I just don't think you can get through with patchwork when you have a guy like Goff that's flat-footed that can't make plays on his feet. You know, he has one or two options, and then it's like, oh, shit. So, I don't know. I'm not giving up yet, baby. But, I mean, it was just a terrible loss yesterday. All three phases, like Dan Campbell said.
You know where you can see the Lions Commanders, Lions Eagles, Lions Giants, Lions Packers, Lions Cowboys, and Lions Rams?
Not YouTube TV.
No.
Wouldn't be able to watch Monday Night Football tonight. Yeah. So, and thank God for Xfinity.
Look, everybody's had some carrier disputes, and I'm not saying that Xfinity is devoid of these, but right now they're not in one, and you can see everything. And I'm telling you, yesterday I'm going from watching the NFL games, I'm watching soccer, I'm watching all sorts of stuff available. Hallmark movies, flipping to the end because I like how they finish. They end well.
It's that time of the season.
It's that time. All of it right in front of me with my Xfinity cable. And they also have great bundling offers with Xfinity Home Internet, Xfinity Mobile, which has the same coverage area as Verizon. Go to Xfinity.com. You can type in your address, see the deals that are best for you. They've got some great stuff, some really good offers. It's less expensive than you think for Xfinity Home Internet. And so make sure you've got the best package for what you and your family need, Xfinity.com. All right, are we ready to dig into these listener takes?
You don't want to talk about the World Series real quick?
Oh, let's do that.
How great that World Series. I mean, come on. We cannot just overlook that World Series. Is baseball on the come up here? Because, I mean, my wife was talking about this World Series. Her son, my stepson, I hate to call him my stepson because it just seems weird because he's like, I met him when he was like 19. So anyway, but he's my stepson.
That's when you met your real son too, probably.
I've never met actually it was a daughter, I think. I think it was a girl. Anyway.
Your real child.
Yeah, the one I signed off on, yeah. Allegedly mine.
So, but it's not your kid, we don't think.
Technically, well, I signed off, so it's not, I have no responsibility.
But it might be
But
yours.
I was in the Maury Povich. Like, I would have been on Maury Povich in the running. Like, there would have been 3 dudes, and I would have been one of them.
Do you think, what are the odds? Do you think it's yours?
Well, I mean, the timing didn't, because my mother at the time, by the way, this was back in like 2007, but back then, my mother really wanted a grandchild, and I was like telling her, like, you're never going to get one. So she really was like efforting to try to find out, and we did kind of the math, which is weird with your mother because you're talking about blowing loads in a lady. So it's kind of an awkward situation to talk. Well, you know how you have a kid. Sorry, right. I didn't mean to say it like that. But when you consummate so you're having to tell your mother when's the last time you fornicated with the lady, and then, you know. So it was a whole mess. What are we talking about? Are we doing hot takes?
What a story worth telling, I guess. Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
I blacked out. We were talking about the World Series, and all of a sudden I was, this is your life.
Great place for a cozy meal in November. Chef does a great job. You will love the menu there. You'll like the drink selection. And this time of year, the American Stout goes down perfectly.
But anyway, my stepson, who doesn't really care about anything, he was even talking about the World Series, you know, and how great it was. So this is like reaching all of these people that normally don't talk to me about baseball when they come over for a football Sunday.
Totally,
so it's interesting.
I was in a bar in Minneapolis on
a treadmill.
With other sports writers.
Wow,
it was me and Solari and Matt Wenzel and Connor Eargood watching Game 7. We watched Game 6 too, and it was a great little spot. But if they were, not quite Midtown Brewing Company or Front 43, but a great spot nonetheless.
Who had the highest bar tab?
Well, here's the thing. So I don't know that, but I did order.
Go either way.
It probably was me. I did order.
Excluding food.
Yeah, I did order meatballs as an appetizer. And then when the waitress came back, it was a great meatball dish. A great meatball dish. The waitress comes back for take our order. The meatballs are so good, I ordered it again as the main dish.
You had back-to-back meatballs?
Back-to-back meatballs, and did it back-to-back nights.
Oh. You had 4 orders of meatballs in 2 days?
The second day, I just did the 1 meatballs because there was a really good tomato bisque. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's living the life right there, man.
Yep.
If you're just having meatball. Wait, so you ordered meatballs
By the way,
an app and then ordered it as the entree? You said run it back? You just
run it back. Run it back.
Damn.
It was that good. And by the way, that may happen to you at Midtown Brewing Company. Like, they have some great appetizers that you get in there. You just love the appetizer. Pulled pork sliders. They come back to the table. You're like, I'll take more of those. Let's do that.
How many meatballs per serving? Like 4 or 5?
5, yeah.
You ate 10 meatballs in a 3-hour period?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not that much.
That's a lot.
I'm
expecting like big meatballs.
No, well, they're not huge.
Are they small meatballs?
They were mid-size to small. Yeah, they weren't huge meatballs. They weren't small, but they weren't like. I know what you're thinking of when you ordered like that 1 meatball at a restaurant that's huge. It wasn't like that. 10 of those would have been too much even for me. It was not. It was not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was not that. But yeah, no, it was incredible. And you know why and first of all, if they wind up striking the baseball strike after this in about a year and blow all this momentum. That'd be the dumbest thing ever.
That would be something baseball would do, though.
It would exactly be something baseball do. It is incredible. And it was a great World Series. And you know how I know that I'm back into baseball? I was pissed off when the Dodgers won it. I felt
myself so bad for Blue Jay fans.
I know. I found myself rooting so hard for them. And it would have been weird if, like, the review of that cleat being down at home plate, if a review had given them the World Series win. But there had so many close chances. I just couldn't imagine being like, if that happened to the Tigers, how you would overcome that, how you would even get up the next
I was
day.
thinking about Blue Jay fan and walking out of that stadium after top of the ninth, being up 1 run. Because I've walked out of Ford Field for sure, and I've walked out of Comerica feeling dejected, but not in a World Series way, the way that they were. Yeah. Now they have 2 World Series from the 90s, the early 90s, so you have that to at least fall back on. It's not a Cubs back in the day before they won theirs situation. But man, oh man, that's the thing about sports that just scares me so much, to be in that scenario. I think I would have a heart attack. I think that would just end me right there. Especially in another 10 years. If I'm at Comerica, top of the 9th.
It just feels
World Series,
so hard to
Game
get back
7?
there. So hard to get back there. You can put together the best team possible. And it, and everything has to go right. And the Dodgers are just not. I mean, look, this happens in Premier League soccer, and I put up with it. So, but basically, somebody should sometime just once write the headline when the Dodgers win the World Series. The headline is actually "Worst team per dollar in baseball finishes season, wins World Series," because that's essentially what happened. I mean, that's not the only reason you win. And I understand they're a great franchise and all that jazz.
And can we ask Scott Boras if Tarek Skubal would pitch like Yamamoto did in a World Series before we paid him that giant contract?
4 innings tops.
100 pitches?
Yeah.
98?
Not even that.
98 to 100 pitches?
12 pitches.
12 come on. Pitch count thing's bullshit, right?
It's not great. It's
All right, anyway.
Not great. Let's yeah. And by the way, if you have a Blue Jay fan in your life, a Muskox flannel is something to ship them today or put them onto. Go muskox.com. Wrap them in comfort and warmth. Plus, it's Canada. I mean, it's chilly early. They definitely need it. By the way, too, our giveaway for a Muskox flannel, we have a winner for the ugly Muskox flannel competition. Our friend Jordan Schultz. Of all the people who submitted, is the winner of the free Muskox flannel, courtesy of the bet that I won on the Cleveland Guardians to win the AL Central.
Yeah. Nice bet, asshole.
Appreciate everybody submitting. We'll do another one around Christmas, and because there were some other good ones. And
you gonna hit another bet?
But appreciate you, Jordan. Yeah,
fucking Bears to win the.
By then, something will hit, and I'll probably lose it, and whatever.
Yeah.
Just the way I lost all the Guardians money that I won already. But Jordan Schultz will be sent the Muskox flannel of his choice. I'll be in touch, Jordan. And if anybody, if you didn't win, I'm telling you right now, it's still worth your dime, and it's worth how you'll feel and look. Go muskox.com and the promo code Peacock for $15 off your flannel purchase. All right, let's dig into these listener takes.
All right, Eric Schultz up first. Number 1, missed 90% of the game at a Halloween party. 5 years ago, the idea of that would have been outrageous. That's the Jonathan Smith effect. 2, going from quitting on field versus UCLA to same old Spartans isn't the argument to keep Smith that some fans are acting like it is. And 3, ridiculous officiating in overtime.
It was bad. That is interesting. You talk about Spartan fans checking out. I mean, Eric Schultz, diehard Spartan fan, already
Halloween
checked
party.
out. Halloween party instead.
During the day.
Yeah.
All right.
I would not fault anybody for spending their time differently than watching this Michigan State football team. I think we're at that point for sure.
Keep that guy, though. Dominic, number 1, I'm appalled by that bitch-ass statement from Bat and Guskowitz about CMU. No, Graham, I don't expect them to scream, fuck yourselves, but you talk about meeting people where they are. Can we please stop taking it in the ass and just pretend to take a stand once? 2, I need this administration to at least fake it. This bend me over while I stay silent was perpetuated by your fellow Sexton alum, Graham. You can applaud him in 2036 all you want, but this tail between your legs shit isn't Michigan State, and I despise that it's everywhere now. And bonus, Connor Stallions desperately live tweeting to relevance online whenever J.J. McCarthy completes a pass is peak penis behavior. First, you're still a cheating bitch. Second, your title is tainted. Lastly, J.J. looks like a female soccer coach from Saugatuck.
That's the taint.
Yeah. People are not thrilled that Michigan State sort of accepted CMU's apology, and they have to be more professional. Like, I understand that there is a level of anger, and I'm curious to see exactly where this story goes, if it has any more legs at all.
It's got to be over, right? What else do we need to hear?
Yeah.
The statements happened. I mean, this thing was drawn out way too long. I'm over it.
I am curious what the apology looked like from CMU in that communication, and maybe some. Let's put a.
Hey, I'm sorry, I guess.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
But you're not alone, Dominic. There are a lot of people who listen here who are unhappy with that, and I think this is one of those things. If you're a new AD and you come in and you weren't around at that time, or I think if you're an outsider, it's an issue, but it doesn't seem like this huge deal. And maybe I'm reading that wrong and how they read it. It was a very professional response and an understanding response, and I don't think that's what
But can you be
wanted.
Professional and a little snarky?
Yeah, a little more snarky.
Like Dominic said, I understand you can't go, fuck you guys. That was a terrible apology. I just feel like there's a way to add a little snark to it. Pride before the fall, Coach D vibe.
No, you're totally right. There could have been a little snark. They should have, in fact, every public relations department everywhere should have one person on staff who really specializes in snark. Because every once in a while you need a little snark, and you need it done tactfully and rightfully and sometimes professionally, but snark is important.
Snark coordinator.
Yes, the snark coordinator. That should be a position on every staff.
Matty B, next. Just once, I want this athletic department to grow a pair and stand up for the school. That statement about CMU's apology was wet toilet paper. If it were a real apology, the head coach wouldn't be employed in that athletic department still. And 2, Graham needs to sit with Lindgren and tell him stories in the booth. At least if Lindgren is asleep. He can't call short side tosses 12 yards deep in the backfield. And 3, you're about to walk away with $30 million. How about we just drop a few F-bombs in the press conference about the screw job that happened to your guys? Bat has to say something. 2 weeks in a row. Maybe we'll be good soldiers and give our private equity money to other schools.
Yeah, the problem with the officiating in the overtime wasn't just the one call that got changed late and how that happened was not great. But it was the culmination of it. It was the fact that both those things happened where you get it looked very much like the Minnesota quarterback's foot was out of bounds before he crossed the goal line. You get that on top of the pass interference call that was switched. And there were some other things that weren't great in that game. It's in overtime with that much on the line with, you got a coach who's waiting to crowd surf in the locker room. Like, this is a big deal to Minnesota, but it's a staff that's coaching for its job. It's a group of players at Michigan State that have won in 5 games. This game meant something to them. And you've got to officiate it with the same level of care and accountability. And I don't think that was done. And that's too bad. I will be curious to see what comes out of this.
Parker Weiss next. Number 1, if college refs were any more ass, they'd literally be donkeys with whistles. 2, please, for the love of God, MSU basketball, save us from the immense shame that football has caused us. And 3, Ben Johnson, NFL Coach of the Year, bear down. Bear down my balls. That game stunk, too.
It was entertaining as hell.
Yeah, Cincinnati stinks.
No, they do.
I know, but I had 2 Bear fans over. It's just like,
did you?
Yeah, it's like Bears.
Oh, man.
Bear down my balls.
Did you not think that could happen? Well,
think what could happen?
And then, so were you guys watching both games?
Yeah, dude, I have 3 TVs. I mean, we put TVs up. So the one TV, there's only usually 2. But if we have a situation, there's a third one that's wheeled in. And yeah, we had the Bears game on that.
What were the 3 TVs?
Lions, Vikings, Red Zone on the bottom TV, and then Bears, Bengals on the third.
It's a nice setup. Something you can do well with Xfinity, by the way.
Yeah. Anybody can do it. TVs they're trying to give TVs away. My sister was at Costco and sent me, there was like a 60-inch TV. It was like under $200.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
We love sports. Let's watch them.
Yeah.
Parker, read that. King Lions next. Criminal pass interference call needs to be investigated and explained immediately. This was not just a bad call. This called into question the integrity of the game. And bonus, a non-reviewable play, once announced on the field, cannot be overturned. What's fishy is no one including Smith, seems to think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
he could have done a lot with the fan base if he would have gotten pissed off.
Smith's strength is not when they get screwed on the field or things aren't well with the officials. He processes it very. It does not lead to anger, and that's just not who he is. And frankly, that doesn't. When you've got when you're losing, that doesn't work with a fan base. It especially doesn't work with a fan base that's just been as frustrated as long as Michigan.
Does that
State's.
Work in college football?
Period. Well,
does it work in football? High school, college, pro?
Yeah,
if you have your head coach that can't even get pissed off.
You know the story that probably needs to be done is like talking to Oregon State fans about what they thought about him and his reactions early in that tenure there. Now, he was one of theirs. I mean, imagine Max Bullock comes back, gets the Michigan State job, and all of a sudden shows zero emotion. But it's Max freaking Bullock.
That's impossible.
Well, that's a good point.
How the hell is he going to show no emotion? Spartholomew next. Number 1, what is this? Millie V.
Yeah.
I like it. Millie V has some major Matt Stafford in him. Will make a tough SOB for whatever team he plays for next. Hopefully MSU. And 2, the Lions game taught me 2 things. No more Brady Burkhart calling our games. I don't think we've ever won, and no more buys. See the last Commanders game.
Yeah, they weren't very good out of a bye. It was weird. It was just weird. I know. You should be better out of a bye. But and also, I think what bothers people is the McCarthy Brady thing. Brady was very proud of McCarthy. It was very clear the Michigan thing going on. You could just hear it in his voice. And
Brady's a penis. He's a weird dude.
And 2, to be fair to Brady, that last throw to seal the game by McCarthy was a big time throw. And so
good.
Yeah,
I'm glad for him. Well, who are we happy for here? Brady. You know what? Brady's great. He's great on those shows where he just like tells you what's going on in a play. Like he's got the whole like TVs in front of him, like on a set and all that stuff, kind of like Kobe Bryant did years ago, kind of taking you behind the scenes. That's where Brady's amazing, long form kind of stuff. Just this. G. Miller, Alessio's lack of mobility showed how truly bad this MSU offensive line is. If Minnesota is getting 6 sacks in one half, something is seriously wrong. It's a miracle he hung in there. If Childs leaves, take that bloated NIL and put it into 5 offensive linemen and a few defensive lineman upgrades. And baked. This Lions offensive line just ain't the same as past few years. As a result, 3rd in the division this year seems like a reality unless they can get some immediate help before the trade deadline.
I still think, they're going to battle with the Packers here all the way through, but there's no way they're worse than 2nd in this division. The Bears are not that good. The Bears are not great. The Vikings are, I think, while they can play up, and I think the Vikings are scary on a given day, and that's why you'd rather them not be part of the playoffs. I don't think the Vikings are going to consistently make a run and put up. The Lions offense just has more to them. But that was a bad game. It was a 1990s Lions game. It was like the best of the 90s, and those. Man,
special teams, they were shit.
It was bad. It was bad, yeah.
Jarrett, the MSU offense will be really bad no matter who is at quarterback. I still think Childs should be the starter. Terrible play calling in enemy territory and sacks on 3rd and 4th down is why this team can't put up points.
Well, you're not going back to Childs after that performance by Alessio. You just can't. I mean, he was over 300 yards, and I understand he wasn't perfect, and there are a couple plays that if he had made, they win the game. But he did more than enough. Like, if Childs had that sort of performance, there's no way you'd be making the change the other way. And so at this point, and again, I'm not anti-using Childs to your advantage where it works. If you think there are situations in short yardage or the red zone where, I mean, you have this guy with these he's been good in the red zone where he has this sort of gift of legs, use him and explain that to both quarterbacks. I don't think that's a
So you think Childs is done as the starter? Like, you think he might play in some situations?
Yeah, he's done.
Wow.
You make that move, you don't go back.
I know, but Childs would want to put something on tape, right? I mean, unless he's going to follow.
This is a big boy. I mean, this is not how it works. You don't get to.
I understand, but
I mean, unless and not only that, if you're now, what's really interesting about this move, if the coaching staff does not think they're done, and I think they probably know they're done, but if the coaching staff does not think they're done, this is an interesting move because this basically you're moving on from Childs beyond this year, and certainly I think the hope of keeping Alessio around. Now, he's putting a lot of things on film, and he'll have offers to go elsewhere. But he's also, if he's establishes himself as MSU's starter over the final 4 games of the year, it's he'll be curious about who the new coach is and what that situation is and whether it makes sense to be there. And if you're a new coach and you got a young quarterback who shows the things he is, you want to make him a priority. I think there's a real chance that guy is your quarterback the next couple of years.
Professor Childs is Devin Gardner. Not enough to lift a bad team around him. And bonus, if you have to verbally explain your Halloween costume to more than 50% of the people you come across, it stinks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if it's an inside joke and you appreciate it, this is somebody who went as Gavroche twice for Halloween from Les Miserables in 6th and 7th grade. So,
and you had to explain to everyone?
Yeah, I mean, it's
and you're still
in middle school.
So
too.
You're
not only that,
it.
it's one thing if you do it now. Like people now, it's like Gavroche from Les Mis. It's kind of cool. In 6th grade, not cool. You know what I mean? Like not as cool. Definitely not as cool.
It's never been cool. I don't think
it's cool now
in certain circles, but
Yeah. Well, I like.
I think that if you do it for work and you have to kind of, I don't know. I think I can agree with that though. If you more than half the people don't know what the fuck you are, but Munfield cake. Former players have said that you can tell the quality of your team by how your special teams play. Well, we missed 2 field goals and kicked the ball out of bounds on a kickoff. This team stinks.
Yeah, I mean, the miss. Look, Connington's been pretty good this year as a kicker for Michigan State, and it was an area they had a lot of concerns. And I don't think when the kickers just miss field goals that it entirely speaks to the special teams overall. I think kicking the ball out of bounds, bigger mistake. Because you can do a lot of things right on special teams and just have a kicker who misses field goals, and it's like, is that the special teams coach's fault? Is that I don't necessarily go with that. I think the special teams has been good at times this year. Now they've had some not great days as well. I think this team is this team is a team you just don't think is going to finish the game. I think that's where you know things are wrong. Like you just had a feeling when they scored too early. And Minnesota's offense was not very good, was going to go down and get something. You had a feeling in overtime that they weren't going to win it. It was just you don't expect this team to win, and that's just part of the DNA. And we just haven't seen that change under Smith.
Kurt Wisniewski, the college refs for MSU Minnesota game were completely smelly ass. Bonus: all coaches except Joe Rossi should have been fired on Sunday. There's no reason to allow them back on campus.
Yeah.
Ban them from campus, Get out of here.
Yeah. I wouldn't go. I mean, the Rossi is obviously
bloodlust right there, says Graham.
There is a little bloodlust for him. There's nothing. There is. And again, I'm not saying people should be frustrated, upset, and whatnot, but there is definitely a bloodlust for him that's that you see and you feel, and it's somewhat understandable. And it's just why the people who have that aren't the athletic director. Like you have to make rational decisions based on what's best for the long-term situation of the program. And again, if you can explain why getting rid of him in the middle of a season or late in the season is worth it with all the variables at play, and it makes sense, then you do something like that. But if you can't, then you don't.
Izzo's no longer got to go next. Couch, the reason for getting rid of Smith now is so we don't have another D'Antonio situation. behind on hiring a replacement, lose a recruiting class, and now lose a portal cycle.
I mean, it's not like Smith's going to decide in February that he's done. Like, that's not how this is going to work. And if you wouldn't have a coach in place, like it'd be one thing if okay, they've announced they're hiring Pat Fitzgerald and he's recruiting, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not how this is likely to work. You're going to have an interim. You're going to have everybody knowing that everything's been upended. A lot of your players are going to think they're going to get in the portal. You're going to have it just creates chaos, not momentum. And it's very different, the timing of D'Antonio versus this. You're not getting behind right now. There's nothing that Florida or LSU are doing today that's getting them ahead of Michigan State. It's not. I mean,
LSU is. They're doing stuff.
Well, they got bigger. They got bigger problems.
Got the governor on it.
Yeah, that's not. Can you imagine if Whitmer came out and just said, "That's it, I'm taking over this"? We should have asked her that when she was on the show.
BPA. For the life of me, I don't understand how refs are allowed to throw flags, then pick up the flag with no reason given. Not talking about the ones where the ref says, "I had a better angle." Talking about refs just simply saying, "I didn't see what I thought I did." Yes, you did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, the ref who threw the flag, what was his...
Did we check his apps, like on his phone? Can we see?
Well,
is that a part of the apology where we get to see his gambling apps?
I do think refs need to be a bigger part and more a part of the post game, and it shouldn't have to be. So one of the things that's challenging is they say, well, you can have a pool reporter go and do this sort of thing, and you can request it at a certain point. It's hard to do right late in overtime. Number one. Number two, it also takes that reporter out of everything else they were doing, which may sound like a great deal for fans, and maybe that's the bigger story, and usually you get some blah thing. But if you're trying to do a million other things, be it quick takes or some running gamer or get down, or you got this idea you need to talk to this coach about, and instead you've got to spend your whole time on an official, and you don't get any of that other stuff done, that doesn't actually serve the officials ought to be just readily available. They ought to expect to answer questions after every game unless they're not asked. There ought to be somebody from the crew, the head of the crew, who just knows that they've got to stick around, and there's going to be 3 to 5 minutes availability. It doesn't have to be a huge press conference, but there's going to be availability with them.
What if we had Hondo do it?
Well, then
then the refs would get to know Hondo, and they'd be like, "I am never making a bad call ever again, so I don't have to talk to this guy."
The problem is, if he brought back the quote, you wouldn't know if it was the real quote.
That's true.
So then you'd have other issues, different issues.
Could be up in the air. Mark V. If the Spartans had started Milldog from the beginning of the season, they'd be bowl eligible right now.
By the way, that's not what Mark D wrote. That's what Jason is. I love these different names.
Millie Mill,
yeah.
They'd be bowl eligible right now, and Smith would have a new contract to keep UCLA from poaching him. Damn, Millie could have saved his job.
Yeah, but I mean, I also think Milivojevic has.
Sounds so natural when you say it.
I've worked on it. This is like my whole Sunday.
Milivojevic.
I also think that he has improved. I mean, his first pass was a pick 6 this year, right? So it's not like he is. I think they developed him. I think he's improved. I think the Nebraska game was the moment where he looked like, boy, that guy might be something, might be ready. And I do wonder. So his most extensive playing time, other than until Minnesota, was against UCLA. They did make a move in against UCLA. And in that game, that was his worst game too. His completion percentage was below 50%. They didn't really, if he had come in that game and looked great against UCLA, they might have made a move then. Like, he might have forced their hand. And so it wasn't like there wasn't some opportunity for him.
Holt Harv next. Number one, while the officiating was complete ass, MSU's two failed red zone trips are what lost the game. All 3 offensive plays after the long Marsh catch were doomed. 2, Childs should get the call whenever MSU crosses the 15-yard line. He's the reason MSU had a high red zone percentage, but with limited attempts, he can be Alex Orji with a better arm. And bonus, it must suck to have your fate tied to a 19-year-old kid making mistakes. 2 special teams plays at Nebraska and 1 more play at Minnesota. Take your pick of many. And this team has 2 more wins. D'Antonio used to talk about needing to win 2 or 3 plays that will decide a game. Learning how to measure up or finding the inches, Smith needs to give the fan base something anything to tell us they're close. I suppose it's too late already, as Graham said, but this seems like a textbook example of losing your own narrative.
This is where being a good communicator is important, and optics can be important to some degree. Look at Joe Rossi. Joe Rossi could be speaking in tongue and not even coaching the defense. He could have lost it entirely. Nobody would know it. Everybody would think, that guy's great. Look at him high-fiving people. Look at him. Look at the emotion. That's what people are so desperate for. I do think one thing that Smith has not done well, and it's not his strength, and it's a problem, is make the case for himself. Make the case. Sell himself. Sell what's going on here. Explain why. And maybe, to Smith's credit, I don't think he's somebody who's great at lying to people. And I don't know that he thinks they're that close. I don't know that he knows they're going to have the resources. I don't know that he thinks it's going to get a lot better. I think he's got concerns probably about the whole way it's going. And it's so
what better reason to move on?
Well, there you go. And
what are we talking about?
And I do wonder at some point, and I'm sure he's battling for his job right now, but when he looks back at this, 3-4 years from now, he may be like, man, that was a blessing to move on when I did.
Alex Mayer, I am honestly torn on Jonathan Smith. The reasons to cut ties are obvious, but this team has yet to give up on him. The idea of going up against so many top teams, also looking for a coach, is tough, and most of the talent on this team are either transfers or young guys he brought in.
See, you got huge advantages if you're MSU against these other schools. Because
you do?
Yeah, because they're going to screw it up. These other schools have to make the splash. They have to. There's a certain type of, it's just different. Like, there are plenty of guys out there who would fit what MSU needs, and you got to go find them and be successful, that LSU couldn't even consider because they couldn't sell that. They got to sell it to the governor, for freak's sake, I don't know. Did I say freak's sake? I'm sorry. Like I'm watching. Well, anyway, all right. I do not think that's an issue on whether, in terms of guys, the talent he brought in, and whether you're out, you want him. That's a fair opinion. If you think if a coach deserves more than 2 years and they haven't given up on him, that's a fair opinion. I think most people would disagree with that, and I don't think that's probably where MSU's administration is. But because here's the thing, silence is telling, right? We haven't heard from, Izzo really hasn't said his Jonathan Smith's name. He's sort of spoken up to how difficult it is to be an early coach and how tough it is, a young coach and in a program trying to build something and being in a tough spot and supporting him. And
he did make one comment.
Back to the white elephant in the room.
There you go.
They don't want to deal with the white elephant in the room.
We haven't heard from Jay Batt. Kevin Guskowitz more talked about just the pride of being a Spartan and all that stuff. There is, if there was a chance that he was likely, if there was support for him, we would hear it. And we're not hearing it. And that silence is telling.
Ralph E. next. There is a definite shift over the weekend in some folks' opinions on if Smith should stay or be fired on X and the message boards. Many are now saying stay because of the cost, build a base of recruits, use the money for NIL over a buyout. And bonus, how long did it take Graham to learn to spell Milivojevic?
So I did copy and paste it the first 6 or 7 times because I was worried I would
Good way to learn it.
Yeah, and the problem is, on a keyboard, it's one L with 2 I's around it, so it looks kind of like, you can't tell.
Meatballs on your laptop. It's hard.
Meatballs are everywhere. It's just a lot of sauce.
Can I get another order? Another round of those.
A shift in the weekend from folks on the message boards. That's interesting that you would say that. And on X, I think there are people who recognize that they haven't quit on him. I don't know how many people think this should continue, but there's obviously a portion, and it's a reasonable thought given the usual timeline you give a coach, right? You can't keep giving coaches, 21 games, 2 years to make up your mind. I think the problem Smith has is not just the losing; it's his inability to connect, and that is, it's the personality part of it, and that's just something that he's not going to be able to win back the fan base. I just don't see any way he can, and I'm not saying fans should be the reason entirely you make a move, but donors should be to some extent. And if fans are out, they are the customers. I'll be very curious to see what the crowd looks like against Penn State, what the crowd looks like at Ford Field against Maryland. I think that will be telling because people are going to start speaking with their time and wallets.
Lucas, Graham.
things.
Graham.
Chances that Smith actually gets 2026 to right this ship. I'm getting a bad feeling he's staying.
Yeah, I'm not there.
From what?
I'm not there. Yeah.
Even Couch, Michigan State mouthpiece. I mean, he's even saying, like, I don't see it happening. I mean, come on. For what? Because he covers the spread? Mr. Benjamin, the number one reason Smith has to go is because he's late on everything. Late on understanding the Michigan rivalry, late on getting Rossi going, late on the QB switch, etc.
Yeah, and ultimately they lost 6 straight Big Ten games in year 2, and there just doesn't seem to be any way. Like, it'd be one thing if it was like, man, people like this guy, they're raising money for this guy, they've got a plan moving forward, the recruiting class is good. This is a tough year. That's just not the vibe, and I think that's the problem.
Adam, next. At what point does not firing Smith start to reflect negatively on Bat? I realize it isn't easy to raise money for a buyout, but I thought he was supposed to be good at raising money. Bat effed up concessions and doubled general parking. Screw that pompous, entitled a-hole.
Wow. First shots at Bat. Look, I think it takes more time to get things together. I do not think he thought, as he's making relationships and trying to get, the lay of the land, that he was going to have to make a move this year.
But he had to know it was a possibility.
Yeah,
Back of your head,
but
like,
this is
maybe,
yeah.
I don't know.
And we don't know what he's done. We don't know what he has going behind the scenes. I do think there are some concerns financially across the board at Michigan State. It's not, and athletics is only a small, like when you see what's going on with MSU is a university financially, that's not something not to be concerned about from an athletic standpoint too. And I just don't think we know what's been going on. I think you can be disappointed in the concessions. I don't think that's been great. I also think that it was absolutely fine when you had like community groups doing it. I didn't see an issue there, but whatever. That's and you can be upset about parking or costs or changes and all that stuff. I just don't think we know what's going on behind the scenes entirely. And there are little signs of things that I think he's working hard at this. I think this is occupying a lot of his time. And this is the job. Yeah, I mean, he's not home watching the Lions. Well, he might watch the Lions a little bit. It's from Georgia anyway, right? From North Carolina.
DMB, MSU has a momentum problem as much as a talent gap. Every time they get a chance for momentum, they shoot themselves in the foot. Speaking of talent gap, how the hell is Minnesota 6-3? College football's broken. And bonus, MSU found its quarterback. Maybe we can trade the other one making millions for a rush end and an offensive lineman. What a fun sport. And from David Jackson, with the Big Ten deciding to have MSU lose because of the crooked officiating 2 straight weeks, I say F the Big Ten. Let's make this work with Smith, keep him, and use buyout money to instead get offensive linemen and rush ends.
So I do think the finances of it is something that's important here. People talk about, well, if you don't have to spend on Childs, there's money to be had for other people. And to some degree, that's true. You're going to have to pay Alessio.
If you're thinking that way, aren't you dead in the water anyway?
And you're going to have to spend on Alessio. And the thing about defensive tackles in college football, they're almost as expensive as quarterbacks, the top ones. That's the challenge. You can't rebuild your defensive line with Childs' money. You can maybe get one defensive lineman. That's about it. That's the problem in college football.
I'm just saying, if you're talking about keeping Smith because you want to use that money elsewhere, that means you're not going to be at a level of a program to compete for a national championship anyway. If you're worried about a $30 million, I know it's a lot of money, but I'm just saying, as we talk about in today's college football landscape, if you're sitting there and go, well, let's keep a dead man walking so we can use $30 million on a couple defensive ends and an offensive lineman.
By the way,
I can't do it.
For every national media boob out there who thinks, that college football's in this great place, Minnesota being 6-3, Nebraska being 6-3, and acting like this, like the Big Ten has got to give NBC, CBS, and Fox 3 premier games every week, and this is what you have. I mean, I'm sorry, it is not a good product. And so, maybe work on the 55 minutes of commercials, work on how you package it. People are still obsessed with it, but if you were watching Michigan State and Minnesota on Saturday, you were a Michigan State or Minnesota fan, or you were somebody who hated one of those schools, or you were really bored, or it was on a second TV. It was not what you did with your Saturday, just if you were a casual college football fan or sports fan. And that's a 6-3 team, right? That's a coach who was crowd surfing after the game.
John Naughty next. Michigan State, present tense, is a basketball school.
It's the American way, except America has gotten soft.
It's still pretty split in terms of interest and what stirs the soul, and it'll all. But what's funny is I have tried to do this. What is it called? A survey many times, and even in the height of football, basketball is always. I'm wrong on this, I guess. And
is it like an official survey, or just you ask like people that
I ask people on Twitter
in the
and
vicinity
stuff.
of you?
I don't think people really understand the question. It can't be what you're happiest about or what they're best at. It's what stirs the soul. It's what would you rather have a national championship in. It's what makes you angrier after you lose. It's what drives you to be a fan. And that's what makes you what is a basketball or football school. And so that's the thing like Indiana's going through right now. Everybody's saying it's a football school. And there's some arguments that everybody's a football school when football gets going. That people would rather have a football national title there than a basketball national title. But that will be tested. It's but right now, I think focusing on basketball is probably the healthy thing to do.
Some dude next. Number one, while not dead inside, my insides are on life support. Only Izzo and Groovy Donuts can save me. And two, baseball managers take their best players out of games way too early. Pinch runners never do shit, and of course they can't hit when they come up to bat. And three, 3% of $1 billion is $30 million. Jay Bat needs to figure these rich fucks out instead of doubling my hockey ticket prices.
Yeah, things are getting less fun. That's for sure. More expensive, less fun. Groovy Donuts, Muskox flannels, they're all here for you.
But when it's going poorly, do they make the tickets cheaper?
Yeah.
Like we're talking about Ford Field and this fucking, that game is going to be a little cheaper tickets. Or?
You can watch it home on Xfinity. But it's not.
There could be 17 people at that game. Should we talk about
which one?
At the Ford Field at the end of the year.
I think more people will do it just because it's indoors, something to do with your family that Thanksgiving weekend. I think
you can take a Frisbee and throw it in there.
There was a pretty good crowd there for that Penn State game, and the situation won't be any worse than it was there. And they got hammered in that one. I mean, that was. I think there'll be a decent crowd.
All right. Sparty Barb next. Kurt Tang scores double digits in Monday's opener and will shoot 35% from the 3-point line. And bonus. Congratulations to MSU women's soccer for punching their ticket to St. Louis. They will beat UCLA Thursday.
It's the women's soccer team is this is the area they've struggled in most. The Big Ten tournament, semifinals and finals, even winning Big Ten championships, even having NCAA tournament success. And the reason it's important and something to pay attention to is they're kind of on the cusp of, I think, having a chance to host beyond. They'll host the first round game like they usually do because their RPI and all that stuff's good enough. If they were to win the Big Ten tournament, I think there's a chance they get to host into the Sweet 16, which would make a huge deal towards trying to make a run to an Elite Eight and all that stuff and have that in East Lansing, which would be a really fun environment and something to pay attention to. So this weekend in St. Louis, keep an eye on MSU women's soccer.
Dr. Patterson next. MSU looked better with the new quarterback Alessio, but the team made too many mistakes to win at Minnesota. Missed short field goal was killer. Is that Magic Johnson? Bonus, Rossi still looks like the most active coach on the sidelines, but Jonathan Smith was finally seen talking to a ref. Miracles can happen.
He was annoyed. He was not happy. Now, he did not
was
blow up.
Was his headset not working? He was asking the ref, how does he know? Does he know where to plug it in the back? Can you
turn this on?
Can you look in the back and see if that thing's plugged in still?
Man.
Ref.
Ouch.
Oh, no, my bad. Yeah. He's a good guy, though. Matt Shepard, Hall of Famer. Josh Inwood, are we really going to ride or die with this current Lions team and go the rest of the season without making any moves, just like the Tigers? This team is a few pieces away from making a run, and our window is for a Super Bowl is slowly closing. Come on, Brad Holmes, do something.
I do think Detroit fans are scarred by the trade deadlines in baseball.
They're scarred by everything.
Yes. Yeah. So they
baseball. If you root for Michigan State, you got a coach that's dead man walking. We never make moves. Brad Holmes has to make some sort of move here, right? Like he has to.
So.
I mean, there is a part of me that is worried that he's not. I'm not going to lie. Alec Baldwin's prop gun next. $45 million per year for a defensive end that gets one tackle per game and at least one personal foul per game. Seems like a typical Lions investment. Oh, shut up. 2, what are the chances they rename the Heisman Trophy the Underwood? This guy is trash. And 3, will any journalist investigate why the DPI was overruled? Doubtful.
I think it's going to be looked into.
I think we need a Pablo Torre around here.
Yeah?
Yeah. Pablo Torre, investigative journalist. So when you go, hey, Pablo, go find that story out. Who is that here?
You could definitely do well for yourself. It's even if like you wanted to make it on your own as an independent business and you had a Substack or whatever you were doing and you were doing that level of work, which he does great stuff, but it's not like what he's doing is beyond the scope of a lot of people. It's just that it takes time and the decision to do that. Like, for a news organization, And
are you thumbing your nose at Pablo Torre's
I did not
investigative journalism?
I did not.
Oh.
I mean, I do wish I do. No, I'm not.
The guy brought us this.
Not talking about this.
No.
No.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. No. What he's doing is incredibly entertaining, if not always important.
Alan Pearlstein next. This year's Spartan football team would lose to Harlan Barnett's team. Bonus. Injuries have never been more prevalent and impactful in the NFL than they have been so far this year.
I don't know. But I mean, it feels like it, but it does feel like that every
Daniels.
year.
I mean, why was he in that game last night?
Yeah, it's just not.
Dislocated his elbow. Tucker Kraft, he's going to be out for the year for the Packers. I mean,
not a bad deal for the Lions going into Washington. Although I don't think
we're
Washington
beat up too, man.
I don't think Washington was going to beat them. The team that looks for real and has for a few weeks is Seattle. Like that defense is something. That's a team that you want a reason to have home field. You don't want to face them on the road in the playoffs. In Seattle.
Yeah, a lot of football left. Adam. Graham, you need to stop with your fluffing of the inadequate.
I think
Haller will be praised someday. Smith deserves more time. What's next? Your expose on how Vladimir Putin is just misunderstood?
Plenty of people doing that already.
Or maybe why Fred Human has the ideal male figure.
No body shaming here. I felt all of Fred Human.
None.
Yeah. How am I fluffing the inadequate? I mean, other than I mean,
Haller will be praised.
I think he will be. I'm just telling you what I think is. He was really good in certain areas. He was not good in others.
Like you're just saying.
I didn't say stand. That's not. See, that's
you didn't say ovation.
That's the problem. I think he will get an applause when they flash to his, on the big screen.
Yeah,
at
but
Breslin
what
in 10
kind
years.
of applause? Like
a
golf clap.
Like, a nice. No, it won't be like
people will look up there and go, "Hey, wait, I remember that guy."
It won't be a roar. I'm not saying it's like this, but.
Well, that's like saying if they put Couch in the Room on the thing. I think eventually people would just be like, "Oh yeah,"
there'll be groans.
Yeah. But Haller's gonna get this ovation. I don't know. Max Graham, have you considered hiring some personal protection? Outing one of your listeners' jobs, snitching on the elevator operator, giving out the addresses of MSU coaches, and making fun of Fred Human on a weekly basis. Better watch your back, man.
That's why I have a Muskox flannel. I felt all of Fred Human.
How are we making fun of Fred Human, by the way?
Well, I mean, Fred does it to himself, by the way.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, Fred, this is not like if Fred was just a large man who was
nice.
It was not entertaining in lots of other ways. Like Fred will be like in the middle of press conferences. Fred will take a phone call and just start. And Izzo will look at him like, "What are we doing?" Like he's just talking, and you can hear it. Like. Fred is a wildly entertaining,
talking with
character.
Tim Stout about a story idea. It's in the middle of it.
No, it's absolutely. Fred is tremendous. But I have Muskox flannel, which makes me feel like I have protection. You too can feel like you have Secret Service staff with a Muskox flannel. Go Muskox.com. Again, Peacock for $15 off your
Right now,
Muskox purchase.
You're stuttering, or I'm not picking it up because it's a what? So,
Jeff Peterson, how about an unpopular take? MSU needs to keep Smith. At a time when the state of Michigan is piecing together ways for people to eat, we should not accept paying $30 million to not work. Give him the tools and time to buy the team better, whatever that he left that out. And from Chris, the media gave up on Smith. The vocal fan base gave up on Smith. The boosters were never in on Smith to begin with. But the players showed they're still fighting for him, especially the young guys. Smith is a team builder. Give him time to develop his guys, and it will pay dividends. # trust the process.
Yes.
Well, we can root for him at Toledo next year when Jason Cano gets a job and he can go to Toledo and prove everybody wrong.
So here's the thing. If I don't hate this point, though. Not accepting paying people $30+ billion not to work. If we wanted to have that throughout, I would be okay with it. I would be okay with the idea that coaches, you had to keep them unless they misbehaved through their contract. And we had to – that would be an awesome way of like –
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
That would be an awesome way of really putting it on universities and athletic departments to give people responsible contracts. If Brian Kelly had to coach to the end, if Napier at Florida had to coach to the end, if all these guys had to coach to the end, and it wasn't just an MSU situation, I would be okay with that. I would love that, actually. I would find that because I do think there is, like, sports is a great escape, and I appreciate all of the intensity and the passion that drives the show and readership and fandom, and it's
people
fun.
They're going to start going to cider mills and stop reading your columns because no one's going to give a shit because I got to sit through 2 more years of old Johnny Boy Smith.
I just hope there's another show somewhere where they're having takes about SNAP benefits that are equally as passionate. That's all I hope. That's what I hope.
The Fantine of Southern Maine.
Fontaine. Great Les Mis character, by the way. I dreamed a dream? No? No? Okay.
We want to talk about SNAP benefits instead? The best legit, not trolling take. Smith should get another season. Let him get a full year with Alessio. The team is improving. Did you see how many players were out Saturday? He's doing the best he can with what he has. And bonus, if Western and Central passed on Tony Anesi, why should MSU consider him?
Well, I wouldn't use Western and Central's administrations is your guiding light, and just because they're at a lower level. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to be a serious option. But, again, if you have a wildly successful Division II coach who's an hour and a half away and you're doing your due diligence, you at least want to look into him and figure out, make sure you cross him off the list for the right reasons, not just because he's the Ferris State coach.
Sparty Mark next. I'm not sure that hiring a new coach in and of itself is going to turn the MSU football program around. It's really easy to pile on Jonathan Smith, but unless we fix our NIL slush or whatever the fuck you call it fund, I can't think of any available coaches that are going to fix this program without the overhaul of our portal and resource process. If we fire Smith and do nothing different with our approach to paying athletes, we piss away around $40 million in buyouts alone. Money that could be used to pay athletes and upgrade the roster.
Yeah, you got to have a plan going forward. I mean, you can't just keep screwing this up. There's no question. This is a true prong situation. There's the moment where you decide Smith is not the answer long term, and I tend to think that moment has been realized by the people that matter at the university. And then there's the what's next, which is equally and actually more important because you can always, I think, you're always a good coaching hire away from fixing it. And if you kept Smith, like in the new day and age, if you kept Smith for another year, it would be, in my estimation, a year without momentum or fire from a fan base, and you could argue that you're just treading water and wasting time. But I don't think it would prevent MSU a year from now from doing something right and getting the right person. So in some ways, what you do next is more important than coming to the realization on Smith. And that's, again, having the resources for that coach or having a plan to get them. And if you don't have them initially, if you bring them in and there's an understanding that we're working towards this, we're figuring this out, we're going to have this shortly, this first year may still be a year of transition. And everybody sort of understands that. And there's certain components that you realize as a fan base and as an administration that aren't going to look perfect right away. I think that's okay. But you got to have a way to get there, and everybody's got to understand that it's happening.
Tim next. I don't understand how Frank Ragnow can just sit back and watch this while he's fishing and not pick up the phone and say, break me off $20 million for the rest of the season. Come be an absolute legend.
He's probably like 180 pounds right now. What's he look like?
Yeah. You still got to talk to him, right? I think Holmes has to make a conversation or, hey, how you doing, man? How's everything going?
Just make sure, yeah.
Good, or how you feeling? Anyway.
Yeah. No, look, it was your take too. Like, I get it. I would certainly kick the tires, and you probably have to make a move.
Travis Maynard, you said Izzo doesn't know what he's got at the 2-guard spot. There is zero reason on our roster isn't bricked up like every other top-tier program. No one on Izzo's level has this many ifs this regularly. Imagine what he could do with a team that didn't spend 3/4 of the year figuring it out. Ugh.
Well, I mean, when I did the annual column I do where I predict every Michigan State basketball game, which is kind of a fun piece to do. A lot of it's tongue-in-cheek.
Every single one. I scrolled through. I saw 3 losses in a row at one point. I'm like, I can't read this.
No, it's entertaining. Please read the whole thing.
Don't lie to me. Please. I did. I scrolled all the way down. Does that count?
We'll take it. Whatever it is. I feel like
I need to finish it. It's like a 3-part.
I feel like Jeb Bush here. Please clap. I do think there are a lot of teams, more teams with more questions than you realize that you picture being the top of the class or whatever, top of the college basketball. Because I go through all these rosters and different analyses of these different rosters. There are a lot of teams out there with a lot of questions. Now you can argue that Izzo's approach should be different, that he should be begging Greg Williams for an extra $3 million, and they should be spending that on a 2-guard every year and just screw Kurt Tang, let him transfer and not developing. And that's a fine idea to have. That's not what Izzo wants to do. So you're just not going to get there.
Dark Mantonio, number 1, does Greg Kampe hate his players or what? Their first 3 games are ridiculous. This has to be the hardest start any college basketball team at any level has ever had. Jesus. All right, 2, spicy take. Michigan's front court is going to be ferocious, and Yax is going to give Brandon all he can handle for the Big Ten Player of the Year award. Braden.
All right, so here's Oakland's schedule starting out. And by the way, I had Oakland upsetting Michigan State in their Christmas sweaters, and then the Izzo and Kampe's Christmas sweaters, and then Izzo canceling the series. That was part of my my preview.
Oh, so it's a real take, like kind of.
Oakland's got a good team, and I think this year, they open at Michigan, who's preseason ranked 7. Then they play at Purdue, and then they play who's number 1, and then at number 2 Houston. And again, preseason rankings are shit and useless, but good teams nonetheless. And that's all by next Wednesday. And, one of the reasons you do that, and that's probably overkill, because what you're trying to do, and I've covered, mid-major basketball, by the way, and I lived in Kalamazoo. When you have a really good team, you're trying to set up the dream that you could be an at-large bid. On one hand, you're also trying to test your team and put them in cool experiences. This is probably too much. I watched Steve Hawkins do this at Western Michigan one year where he thought he had a squad, and they played. It wasn't just Duke. It was Duke. It was Purdue. The schedule was too much, and they lost confidence. They lost their way for a while, and I want to be in a disastrous year because they overdid it. You want to find borderline high majors, but it's hard to schedule these, and it's interesting because if you do somehow win a couple of those games, all of a sudden you've done what you need to, but it's so hard, and it is a wicked schedule. Scheduling's hard for mid majors, and that is nasty though.
So you have Oakland beating Michigan State for real, or is it just for a joke in your little column thing?
I think though they've come close some years. I think this is a year where Oakland's going to have a good team, and he's had teams that are near the top of the Horizon League. 2 years ago they were made an NCAA tournament run. I think this is going to be a year where they're near the top of the Horizon League, if not at the top. And I think Michigan State, we still got some questions. It's in Detroit. This is one of the years. If it was going to happen, this is the type of year it would happen.
Steven, tell your dad that Graham thinks that Kampe's going to beat him. Just tell him. Robert, Western versus Central should never be on a weekday again, and whoever did it in the first place should be launched out of the solar system. Waldo had its largest crowd since 2015, which is MSU, and it translated into a pretty good TV broadcast. The MAC better not ever muck that up again.
Yeah, they've been fucking this up for a long time. They really have. And this should be a Saturday game. It's a great college football environment. Late October, the trees changing. It's one of the best environments you can see. And I understood the reasoning when they went to MACtion, and they went to these November games especially, and they were supposed to be games that you could put the best game on ESPN, the second best game on ESPN2, the third best game on ESPNU or whatever, and have 3 games on a night and get more exposure. But these rivalry games, and look, the MAC, the other thing that's changed now is the MAC is only going to be so good because they're going to lose most of their best players every year up to the Big Ten schools. That didn't used to be the case. So lean into who you are. Lean into the rivalries. Lean into your fans. Treat them to situations like we got with Western Central last Saturday. That should be the norm.
Brad LaPlante, next. It's early, but if the Red Wings play like this, even 80% of the season, they'll make the playoffs this year. And Emmett Finney is so good.
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Red Wings Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Lee.
I wish we had a Pistons one. We need to get a hold of Doug.
Doug will come. I mean, Doug's around. He would come do it. Yeah, they got the 8 most points tied in the Eastern Conference right now. Anybody got more in the West? Yeah, one team west. I mean, yeah, it's been a good start. It's fun. I've been paying attention. I've been watching more than I thought I would. I got a little money on their season over, which I feel really good about right now. I am making the playoffs, which maybe that'll result in another Muskox flannel.
Whoa, that
giveaway.
Much money on it, huh?
Yeah, we'll do that. Let's take a really quick break. We come back. Up next, Teresa's weekend highlights, and then many more of your takes. Couch in the Rube, our Monday afternoon show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels.
Firekeeper's Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss, plus the college and pro hoops are red hot and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen, Bar, or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, our Monday afternoon show, brought to you by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Go to gomuskox.com and use the promo code Peacock for $15 off. You'll love their new offerings. They also have hats and tees, some really cool stuff there at gomuskox.com. It is the perfect time of year heading into November. The holidays coming around. If you've got people in your life, too, if you're thinking about Christmas gifts already, as the Hallmark movies, Christmas movies start, if you've got people in your life who you care about, men especially, nothing says I love you better than a Muskox flannel.
Trees next with her weekend highlights. Number 1, most interesting Halloween treats. A baby Jesus and a dreidel. Extra points for those who gave out Pringles. And 2, best World Series of all time. And 3, after 8 years, finally got fantasy kudos for picking up and playing Monagai from the Bears.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that running back. Yeah.
So, a baby Jesus was a Halloween treat.
They were putting little baby Jesus kind of like they were like little eraser, the size of a little eraser thing.
It wasn't like a chocolate
baby
or anything.
Jesus.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Pringles. I don't mind Pringles as a little.
By the way,
let's go green, go God.
Go God and go Jesus.
Absolutely.
Anyway, all right, Scotty Green's El Camino. Number 1, November 1st means Halloween stuff goes away and Christmas stuff comes out. Then a brief break for Thanksgiving on November 27th. Graham, please give a brief review of either Christmas on Duty or a Newport Christmas. Don't tell me you didn't watch them this weekend on Hallmark. And 2, Couch, with all due respect, you're part of the problem. Stop holding on to any sliver of hope and say, hey, let's just pump the brakes a little because they actually competed. To quote Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. Please look Jason in the eyes and tell him you'll stop. Fuck, he's not going to stop.
So we did look each other in the eyes.
He's never going to stop.
A couple things. One of the Hallmark bit. Newport Christmas looks really good. I did record it. My wife and I are both all in. It looks a little bit more
when
like
you
the
say it looks
reverse
good. Tell me, what do you see when you see that?
So
what looks good?
There was a movie called a Biltmore Christmas a couple years ago with Bethany Joy Lenz. Biltmore Christmas is anyway. A Biltmore Christmas.
Why did you have to name the actress?
Because I'm a big fan.
Oh.
I told you what happened with Jeff the story on her in People magazine and how I accidentally got the wrong magazine. My wife was in a year ago. There was like a big feature on her in the cover of People magazine, and she was on I think One Tree Hill, a show I didn't watch way back in the day. But my wife sees it, thinks this would be a great. Graham will love this. So, but the magazine looks a little bit torn at the front, and so she's like, "I'll just reach behind and get a copy that's not beat up." So she does that, but doesn't look at it. She comes home and she hands it to me, and she says, "I got you. I think you'll like this." And it's the Menendez brothers on the cover. And I'm like, I know I'm a child of the '90s, and I was around for the Menendez trial, and I remember it, but I don't care that much about reading about the Menendez brothers. And it was just the wrong magazine. It was a different week that was behind the Bethany Joy Lenz one. So that was a story almost worth telling, but told anyway, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. But I did record and to your question, sorry, I did record a Newport Christmas. And what I mean is you look at certain Hallmark movies, you can tell the quality of production and how much was spent financially, who the actors are. Some are better than others. This one looks good. Christmas on Duty did not interest me as much. Some of the military ones and the ones done with the prince and princess ones, I don't care as much about those. But a Newport Christmas looked fantastic. So there's that.
I can't wait for the reviews.
How many people do we lose?
But wait a minute. Now Elizabeth grabbed this magazine, she just didn't look. She just grabbed one from the back, slapped it face down, so she didn't see.
Yeah, I think that's what happened because it was like she was checking out it was like you're checking out at Meijer or something like that, and you just didn't. She didn't pay attention.
She almost did something nice for you.
She did.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Matt Boone, number 1, Alessio is the quarterback. We have to worry about leaving MSU. And 2, Nick Marsh is gone. And 3, Joe Rossi should be retained by the next coach.
So Nick Marsh should go, and I'll tell you why. Because Nick Marsh, who's going to play in the NFL, has 1 year left of college football after this. And if he wants, I'm not saying he has to leave Michigan State in the sense that, if he loves being at Michigan State, he's got friends there, he wants to be part of the program, and he wants to leave a legend. But he will be forgiven if he goes somewhere, as long as he doesn't go to Michigan. But if he wants to go somewhere and have a year where he's contending for a playoff spot in his last year, where he's playing in big-time games, nobody would fault him. And in some ways, people should want that for him. And I understand that it's not good for Michigan State, and if he wants to stay, that's great too. But
it's like Keon Coleman.
Yeah, but it's just – although Keon Coleman did it when nobody realized they weren't going to be good the next year. Like Keon Coleman did it, and this program was at a different place when Keon Coleman did it than when Nick Marsh should be leaving. It would be completely understandable if he wanted to have a different experience for his final year of college football.
Steve Izzo next. Is he going by Steve now, or is it Steven? Steven or Steven?
It says Steve here.
Steve. Number 1, another classic Jonathan Smith meltdown. How is he still the coach? Lindgren needs to go as well. This isn't Steven Izzo. Rossi, only one worth considering keeping. And 2, Morton had his worst game as the Lions OC since week 1. 0 run game scheme and running back screens on every single 3rd and long for the 100th time this season. Awful. And 3, goldfish crackers would taste exactly like cheese if it weren't shaped like fish. Think long and hard about this one.
Like Cheez-Its, I think. Yeah. Yeah,
it's the shape of the fish that does it.
And they have a lot of different kinds too. I mean,
they are great. They're a good snack.
It is a good snack.
Come in handy sometimes.
It's one of those old standbys. I mean, they've been around for a long time, and
especially when you don't feel well, they really come in handy. You don't feel like eating anything. A couple of goldfish. Yeah. By the way, the Lions were terrible on 3rd down.
It's not good.
Absolutely terrible.
Are you?
Yep.
Where are you on
Morton?
Morton?
On the Lions.
On Morton. I think he's been pretty good all year.
I think he's been all right. He's again, if we're gonna Jonathan Smith, he's doing the best with what he's dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Everybody, beat up. Money bag baked. Tom Izzo should have an on-field role for the last 3 games to fire the team up and stand up for us when we get blatantly screwed. Rossi's energy clearly helps, but he can only do so much.
That's just what you need. You need Izzo instead of focusing on the Arkansas, and the beginning of forget that Kentucky game. Be on the field for Penn State.
Yelling at refs.
Yeah.
Awesome. Andrew Gauthier. Number 1, I was at a cider mill Saturday afternoon. That should tell you everything you need to know about the state of MSU football. And 2, college football is a total mess right now. Maybe unwatchable in the next few years if it keeps trending this way. And from Nestle's Quick Hotel, college football is at an all-time low. The drawn-out presentation, subscription nonsense, and what has to be the worst officiating we've ever seen, to the point where the integrity of the game is in question by serious people, not just idiots like me or Jason.
Hey, man. Don't
Sorry,
put yourself
Jason.
down. Yeah.
No, I know I'm an idiot. I get it.
I
That's why
do
I talk sports.
I think there are a lot of hard to watch games. People disagree with this, and I understand the playoffs are awesome, and there are some awesome games. But man,
and the playoffs are going to be awesome,
yes.
and I'm looking forward to watching every single playoff game. But on Saturdays, I got to say, unless there's a couple key games, doesn't have the same juice for me.
College football is veering towards what has happened in the. Some people can argue with baseball. The baseball had a good regular season now, but baseball or even the NBA or NHL, where a lot of people don't watch until the playoffs, and they love the playoffs. Like the NBA, I watch some Pistons and occasional games here and there in the background, but I love the playoffs. And you don't want college football has always had a great regular season, and the playoffs aren't what's ruining college football's regular season. College football's presentation, its package, its level of play, and its level of play was always iffy. It's always been iffy. I mean, people fell in love with college football watching the Veer, right? But they didn't have that many commercials, and people used to think Bo and Woody were good coaches. Well, fucking this Yeti could call the offense that those guys ran. I mean, no.
When I was a kid, I thought Perlis football was the only thing I was going to watch the rest of my life.
If you find me a high school football coach who would lose to Bo or Woody today, fire that high school football coach.
Wow. Jay Riemenschneider. If MSU football wants to win big, they got to get out of this mindset of a coach having MSU ties and hating Michigan. You can't teach hate. You think Dan Lanning studied Oregon's culture? You think Signetti cared about Indiana's horrible past? You think Mike Elko hates Texas? No to all, but they know winning, rivalry or not. And baked but true. If it had been more readily available, I think I would have watched more of the Michigan St. John's basketball exhibition game than the Michigan MSU football game.
You are a unicorn, Jay. You're one of the people who care about Michigan basketball a lot more than Michigan football. But you're a reminder that fan bases are not monoliths. Like it's people have different tastes. I do think this is a good point, though, you make on the football. You don't need ties. Like, I think having MSU ties is dangerous. I shouldn't say that. It's not dangerous to have MSU ties. Needing to have MSU ties, that idea is dangerous. You want to get the right coach. You need somebody who fits what your program is. And Daniel Lanning fits Oregon, right? Anybody who is going to win would fit Indiana. And you're right to some extent. Winning does cure all. And but Jonathan Smith, frankly, if he was, 8-1 right now, people be like, yeah, man, he doesn't show much emotion, but man, tell you what, they win, and he just cool, calm customer. I get it, so not everybody would feel that way, because I know there are some people who are not fans of his, but people would overcome that in a hurry.
Spartan 18770 next. The worst part of this Spartan football season is the fact that there are players that fans really love. They have shown determination, dedication, and loyalty to one another. In a perfect world, this team would have only one loss. And bonus bake take. Neighbors who don't rake their leaves at this time of the year are in the same category as dog owners who walk their dog without a plastic bag. Straight to prison.
Different levels. I'm sorry. It's so much more gross, dog shit, than leaves being everywhere, right? I mean, it's
true.
But
he is putting to stay in the same category of asshole.
Yeah,
I think you can put the category of asshole. People that don't walk, that walk their dog with no bag.
So here's my thing on this, and I don't want to sound like I'm this asshole, but I'm going to rake once. And so if my tree's not done, I'm not raking.
You need to coordinate that with your tree.
Yeah, well, and we have I hate our tree out front. I usually love trees. We have somehow the worst tree. Like when they were coming down, chopping down trees for the sewer project, which sucked. In our neighborhood, our tree was like the one they won. I tried to go through the city. I
usually love trees.
Yeah,
Fuck this tree.
Not this tree.
Nah. Ken Chu, number 1, could have beat the Gophers, but couldn't beat the Zebras. 2, it just occurred to me that there's no couch in the Rube Pick'em this year. All right. Baked. There should be a website that sells all the hats that get thrown on the ice when a player gets a hat trick.
To point number 2, you are the first person to bring it up, Ken. So it's obviously not dearly missed.
Right.
I was when we had some issues early on, not knowing if we were going to have Harry regularly or what that segment was going to be. So we didn't do it,
and we didn't know if anybody was going to do it for us and track the picks.
Well, Eric will do that. Eric's a pro. Eric will probably do that, but it is a big ask. And since there was just zero.
And getting the prizes to people,
there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, so anyway, a website
Couch still had prizes from 2 contests ago.
What do they do with the hats that wind up on the?
But why would you want to go to a website that sells sweaty ass old hats though? Like,
do they just throw them away usually? They must, right?
It's a good question. I heard somewhere that they have them in a box that they put them at the exit.
Okay,
no, I don't know. Yeah. All right, Rich Seary, number 1, it seems our best head coaches have been defensive-minded guys. The Jay Smiths were both offensive-minded guys. Saban and D'Antonio were defensive-minded. We need to find a defensive, hard-nosed guy. 2, the NCAA has lost all relevancy. No teeth to enforce rules, and even when they try, it's a joke. What is its purpose anymore? And 3, I really want our hoops team to surpass last year's, but we need someone to fill the role of Richardson as the go-to guy. I don't see that guy on this year's roster, and I hope I'm wrong. And baked. Chad Latz for head coach. Love his cleat speech that you guys play. Glad you do. I love it too.
Go out there, play hard, stick your cleats so far up their asses that they've got to use the cleats to brush their teeth with. Come on. Let's go green. Go God.
I do think there are people who you're not alone to think the basketball team is going to struggle. In fact, I'm a little worried I forgot to put a take in from somebody who set that out specifically. But, sometimes people send them to my work email instead of graham.couch@gmail.com, which is okay. But I do forget to, in fact, there's one right now. Oh, boy. From Faustman80. Sorry. I apologize for that stuff.
Do you need some Hoff or
no? But I think there's a chance this MSU team struggles, that they don't have enough offense, that they look like a team that's got some grit. I think they'll be okay in certain areas, but if they're not good defensively at the 2, if they don't score there, like if that position becomes an issue and they don't really have an answer, I think they'll figure out an answer in the defensive side, because there are enough guys who want to play, and that's going to be their ticket. But they might not have enough firepower this year to be what they've been. And if you look at the Big Ten, like 1 through 13, it's pretty good. And really 1 through 16 or 17, even maybe 16, there's not a lot of easy nights off. And so you got to have some guys that can make some shots and score points to keep you, just make some nights easier.
Shep, next, I recall sending a hot take back when they announced the new Olympic sports arena, calling it financial malpractice. Make everything a club sport other than football, basketball, and hockey. Give them 100% of the resources. This is the only way. Glad to see Bat making at least one good decision. And bonus take, Alan Haller's ass.
The Olympic sports arena, and that's not happening now. And Carly Graham, who is our new education reporter, had a good story on this that I tweeted out on some of the reasoning behind it, talking to the president of Michigan State, and also I think he was quoted, but also trustees and everything like that. It's very clear that the priority is going to be elsewhere. I don't think they need a hotel or I don't think they need any of this stuff. I could see the reason for an Olympic sports arena in terms of the finances too, when you look at the cost to put volleyball at Breslin and things like that, and maybe the ability to make money off it. And so I don't think it had to be a money pit. But right now, dollars on hand are not just flowing everywhere, right? And so when you're going to make tough decisions, that's probably going to be one that gets chopped. And they keep insisting that J-Bat has sees non-revenue sports with, really wants to do those sports do well and give those sports opportunities do well and make them, make them have all the facilities they need. We'll see where this goes and what that looks like for. I think volleyball's okay, but for like gymnastics, are they going to do more gymnastics at Breslin? Is that the answer? And what that costs and how you do that, I don't know.
So will Shep not be one of the guys giving Haller a ovation when he's on the screen?
10 years from now, Shep will be doing it anyway. Everybody will be. Alan Haller will. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying other people wouldn't have known to hire Adam Nightingale. But if Michigan State hockey wins a national title, maybe a little golf.
Well, you
clap
have
for
to
Alan
announce
Haller.
that he did hire Adam Nightingale before you announce that Alan Haller's here, right? The guy that hired Adam Nightingale, Alan Haller.
Yeah, what if they win a national title in women's basketball? Guy that hired Robin Fraley.
Robin Fraley.
Yeah, there you go.
And the football program. Mojo Jojo, obvious take. How do you have two of the fastest guys in the NFL and do not use them at all? Be right back. Going to let out some steam on my rooftop axe-throwing range while wearing a Muskox flannel, of course. This take interrupted by a John Morton screen pass. Somewhere in football hell, Dave Warner and Jay Johnson are pulling up another chair. And from Big John Hogg, Morton is to blame for the Lions' loss. Offense has been concerning and lacking for weeks. They have to win against Washington. And bonus, MSU Hoops being back is a welcome distraction from football. Actually look forward to freaking out about Izzo's rotations and lack of shooting. Better than football.
There's a higher floor, certainly. You kind of know MSU basketball is going to be competitive, and if they're frustrating, they'll be competitively frustrating. The Morton stuff is interesting because I thought people were all in on him, and now people seem to be all out.
We're in, but I mean, I'm just saying Flores was blitzing everywhere, and you know this. You have to get the ball out of there, and just with the offensive line, Goff can't sit there and escape things and make plays out of nothing sometimes. So you have to, I can understand the frustration with Morton. Ben Chalice. Obviously, the Lions have been great because of the moves by the front office, but soon it might be time to ask if Holmes has lost some of his magic. As good as his first couple drafts have been, these last two have been big disappointments overall, especially the first-round picks.
What have the last two NFL drafts been? Hold on, let me see here. Lions. Who's off?
I
am the passenger.
That's crazy.
And I ride and I ride.
All right.
I ride through the city's backside.
Is he talking about last year's draft?
These last two, yeah, I'm looking at
it's hard to judge this draft.
Well, but some guys contribute right away, right? I mean, if you look at the past year's draft, so you got Talik Williams, defensive tackle, Tate Ratledge,
right?
Tesla. You go to last year, it was Terrion Arnold and Anis Rakestraw.
Yeah.
That last year wasn't great.
Terrion Arnold, though, I mean, as much as he drives me nuts, I could see a first-round pick. But Brad Holmes is the reason we got here. Like, what are we talking about? Yep. I can understand if we don't make any moves whatsoever at the trade deadline and we start to get frustrated with that, but I just can't get there. I'm not there yet. Spartan Frank, NFC North is going to get 3 teams into the playoffs, and it's a total stone's throw on who gets left out. The Lions still are the best overall team, but that was pretty bad yesterday. Packers are Super Bowl champs or ass, and no in between. And Bears and Vikings are frisky. Strap in, should be fun. And the Packers just lost to the Panthers at home.
Yeah, and the Bears aren't that good. Frisky's a good word for the Vikings. The Vikings are the team that on a given day you don't want to mess with because I do think McCarthy's okay and he does make some big throws.
O'Connell's a good coach.
Yeah, they have a great staff and a good defense. That's so avoiding the Vikings is probably best, but I don't think they're going to finish ahead of. The Packers. We'll see. The Packers are wildly inconsistent and strange too. I still think the Lions win this division.
Peasy next. I love when they pan to John Morton in the booth. He looks like he knows. He looks like he has no idea what the fuck is going on. And bonus, Pistons should just say fuck it and sign Beasley. Cade playing well to start, but it's clear more spacing is needed for him to truly thrive. Why can't we sign Beasley?
Well, yeah,
why not?
He did put on Instagram that he was going to be in Detroit today, so I don't know what's going on with that.
But I mean, he's not being arrested or charged, right? Like, isn't everything over?
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to cut somebody, but they have to make roster space for him. But I don't think it would be expensive to do. It's a good question. What's going on with him? Yeah.
Jay Kwang. Gambling has ruined officiating. MSU deserved to lose, but the refs should be investigated because they allowed Minnesota to cover the spread. And who had money on JJ? That body weight tackle penalty was very suspicious when you can clearly see his arm out and from big rib cage. Number one, gambling is ruining college and pro sports. I've never seen so many inexplicable calls and picked up flags as I have since sports betting became legal. And two, good effort by MSU on Saturday, but Jonathan Smith has got to go. And three, fire John Morton and let Campbell run the offense.
I think this is the challenge when gambling is persuasive. Is persuasive the wrong word? Fuck it.
Bloodlust.
I think just that, like, people are going to assume refs have money when things look fishy.
But shouldn't that be where you look, though? Yeah. Because refs are underpaid, and some of these guys have to work a second or third job. I think you could get to them faster than you could a guy making $90 million. But
forever, refs have been influenced by crowds, and that's what I think happened at Minnesota too. I think the refs got influenced by Fleck and the crowd and all that stuff, and that's bad. And like that's always been like when I talk about Ted Valentine, TV Teddy being a good ref, and coaches like playing when he's officiating their games. One of the reasons for that is he's known as somebody, if you're on the road in college basketball, you want him as a ref because he doesn't give in to the crowd. He doesn't care. He almost wants to antagonize him. It's almost better.
But isn't that just going the other way?
Well, maybe there's an argument that too, and there are issues there. I'm just saying, like, yeah, I don't know if that's gambling.
Like it's
or
the
just
opposite of the ass the other guy's talking about, but it's still kind of ass that you have to.
But what I'm saying is, it's not always gambling, and obviously it's hopefully never gambling. But what I mean is, it's also the momentum, the way the crowd is, the whole emotion of all that stuff that I think people fear refs get caught up in.
Yeah. Steve Beckman. Sports betting scandals are going to keep getting the same reactions as mass shootings. Initial outrage, then calls for banning something, followed by nothing actually changing. And bonus, Lindgren will be fired after the season, but Smith won't, making the offseason utterly exhausting.
Yeah, people will check out. They won't. I mean, they're largely not going to care if Smith's the coach there, and I think the administration knows that. And that's, whether you like him or not, and life isn't always fair, but that's just the reality of.
But what if you fire Smith and hire Pat Narduzzi? Is that going to get? I know that we have half of if you the fan base that kind of doesn't mind Narduzzi coming in.
But if you want somebody if you want somebody with MSU ties who gets it, who I think would probably do pretty well at MSU, who might hire Max Bull as defensive coordinator, I think people would be okay with some of that. It would be interesting. I don't know. I don't. There's a lot.
It all just sounds like it's going to be ass.
There's a pretty big buyout for Narduzzi too, which I think could be prohibitive in terms of if MSU wanted to go that way.
Kevin from Rochester Hills. Number one, the Lions are average and will miss the playoffs. What's up your ass, Kevin? I mean, seriously. 2, a pass rush makes Jared Goff throw like a girl. And 3, MSU may not be good, but they're not quitters.
No, they haven't, and that's, I think, the most the best thing you can say about them is they've stayed.
But is it because they're not quitting because they want to get some tape going for maybe if they got to start looking for another place to play? I mean, is that what's happening in today's college football, where guys, it's not that they're giving up on a coach, but they're looking out for themselves?
Well, maybe there are all sorts of motives, but I also think that football's a hard sport to play individually. Like, you got to do a lot of things collective to do decently, and they're doing okay. I think they put a lot into this. I mean, you think about these guys starting January, like freaking running gassers and suicides, and like life sucks, in a lot of time. And they're running the freaking stadium all summer, and they just pounding their bodies to get ready for this.
But knowing you can get the F out, and then next year, if you had the old rules where you had to come back.
A lot of these guys know that it's not always greener, that things aren't always better, that there's not something for them. And a lot of these guys probably know they're not that great, that people aren't going to be pounding the door down for them.
Matt C. Number one, the standard for MSU football has fallen so far. We praise the players for simply not quitting. It's pathetic. And 2, MSU football players and coaches have stolen more money from donors than Kwame Kilpatrick.
I think not quitting does deserve praise in tough times. It doesn't mean look, the staff is going to lose their jobs.
The beer is on me.
The staff is very likely going to lose their jobs, right? And the players are going to be up in a lot of upheaval again, and things are not great. And when things aren't great and you don't quit, though, I think that's worth recognizing, because I think it's a good character trait.
That was Kwame, by the way. Howard Bailey. Alessio is a worse athlete but better quarterback and is respected because he has that blue-collar style of play. And Jonathan Smith doesn't understand this, which is why he's getting fired. MSU has always been a grit-fueled program and will continue to be so. He needs to embrace that.
I think one of the interesting things that coaches probably struggle with quarterbacks in practice and judging them is quarterbacks are rarely live in practice, and the quarterbacks know that. D'Antonio once did it when he was unhappy with the quarterback play, and he made them live, so that means you can get hit. And so it's very hard to tell exactly how much somebody will hang in there in a practice because those guys know they're not going to get hit. So you get in a game and you see Alessio getting hit like he was, and he's he's getting rid of the ball at the last second, waiting for things to open up downfield, and like that's a really good trait. It's Connor Cook's best trait was that he could do that, and I think that's Alessio right now. Having that, playing on schedule and being able to hang on the pocket makes them better offensively with him than Childs outside of maybe the last 5 to 10 yards, which maybe you still use Childs there.
Zubrokwa, Spartan next. Number 1, Jonathan Smith's West Coast Cool might work in Corvallis, but East Lansing runs on caffeine and heartburn. Fans don't just watch football, we feel it. And when the refs rob us blind, we at bare minimum expect our coach to at least rattle the cage. And 2 weeks, 2 robberies, and Smith stands there like he's waiting for his order at Starbucks. Meanwhile, PJ Fleck's auditioning for an exorcism and somehow gets the call overturned. It's absurd theater, but theater moves the crowd and sometimes even the stripes. And 3, unfair? Of course. But college football isn't fair. It's emotional capitalism. Rage has market value. Smith's calm might play somewhere else, but in the Big Ten, it reads like surrender. Serenity doesn't sell here. Passion does. And right now, he's out of stock. Time to go.
Yeah, I mean, this is well said. People are out on him, and they're out on him not just because they've lost, but because they can't connect, because they don't see his level of passion and frustration that they have. And I just don't think it's going to work because of that. And like if they had the same record, but he had Tom Izzo's or D'Antonio's fire or somebody else, and you just felt like
you wanted to say Narduzzi.
Yeah, I did. You could feel his frustration. I think people would be a little more forgiving about where this is going if he was a little more selling of himself, of the improvements. If he was a little more open about what the program needed long term. I think that people just can't see the passion they feel in their coach, and that doesn't work.
Nate next. Feels like the program is cursed. Whenever something could go wrong the last 3 years, it has. It's not all on the coaches, but the short yardage play calling hasn't helped. And bonus, Milovajovic pronunciation season begins.
Freaking-lutely. Although we are going to ask him to change his name.
Milovajovic. Neurotic pants. Number 1, the Batman should not bring Georgia Tech's coach over to MSU. Another incomplete resume. His offensive coordinator, on the other hand. And 2, not sure we can blame the officials, but now we know that 1, they enjoy home cooking, and 2, they want to go home after 4 quarters. And 3, good football coaches are scary.
People are asking if anybody's going to look. There will be calls to the Big Ten or reaching out to the Big Ten to see if anything happens to that officiating crew and what the explanation for and if everything is allowed to happen the way it did. And, maybe it's just a shitty situation that is allowed. The optics and that situation were bad. The way the game, the process after the call is where people have the problem.
Balky Bartakamis next. Number 1, with the entry of private equity and rising costs and a seeming bubble in media rights deals, this feels like a particularly bad time for MSU football to be enduring a historic stretch of terrible play and growing irrelevance. 2, we're fortunate to be in the Big Ten, but as teams are turning into brands and more separation happens between the top and the middle, the window to remain one of the haves looks like it could be closing. Feels kind of dire. Maybe it's just 5:30 p.m. nightfall getting me down.
It can turn quickly. And it has to turn somebody. They have to get somebody in who can inspire. People have faith in. People want to see succeed, and somebody that can raise money and make Michigan State feel like a have. Because right now it doesn't. You're 100% right. It does not. I mean, Michigan State is got too many resources and too much history, and it's been a have. And it may not be the top of the haves, but it's a have. Too long to have it look like this.
Lobster Puncher next. If there are concerns about paying the buyout, firing Smith as soon as possible is the financially smart thing to do. That gives more time to land another job and offset that $31 million.
Counterpoint. if you don't fire him, maybe it's easier. Maybe it's easier to him to have a sort of face-saving soft landing. If he's fired now, is it easy for another school to sell their alumni on him, or if at the end of the year he sort of quiet leaves for Oregon
And
State or wherever?
no potential school looks at the.
I'm just saying.
It's past.
I'm just saying. I don't know that it helps.
MCV. This is like your finest work. This whole Smith thing. It really is. The spin zone. Number 1, Jay Batt's first power move as MSU's AD was to pay off the refs in the Minnesota game in order to make his job easier at the end of the season. And 2, the Vikings beat the Lions with help from their new equipment manager and J.J. McCarthy's personal assistant, Stoner Callions. Bonus. MSU shouldn't keep comparing itself to Indiana and Cignetti, but rather teams like Purdue, Northwestern, Nebraska, Rutgers, and Minnesota. Teams that are less talented and less resourceful than MSU, but keep putting a better product on the field.
I think MSU should worry about only itself and compare itself to the programs that are doing well, that it sees itself having a chance to be, and whatever that is. But I think it should, you got to go find your coach. You got to stir up your donor base, and you got to figure out what's your ceiling. And I think the ceiling is pretty high at Michigan State, but it just feels like they're a long, long way from it.
In Sparty, we trust. Number 1, ass sports weekend. Ass. MSU football stinks, and I get to watch a Michigan QB throw to Jalen Naylor to beat the Lions. Dude, sports is just a constant dick punch. It really is. 2, Michigan State won't move on from Smith because it sounds like we're broke. Couch, why do I keep hearing about the Izzo football building not being finished? And from Couch on Fire, horrible football weekend. MSU, Michigan escapes Purdue, upset. And then J.J. McCarthy feted by Tom Brady as a player of the game after a lackluster Lions effort. Offensive line, the difference between 24 and 25. And bonus, fire Smith now. At least we may get Rossi as acting head coach with a pulse.
So the question here is why you keep hearing about the Izzo football building not being finished. And, I don't know all the specifics of that. There are things that are still being worked on over there. And so, this happened with the Izzone, and they had to get Gilbert to come in and sort of finish up the donations at the end when they didn't quite get there. I guess
money's the issue?
I would just want to know what the specifics of that aren't finished that were supposed to be, that were budgeted to be done are. That's what I would ask.
Back to the white elephant.
I'm not saying you're 100% wrong.
I don't want to deal with the white elephant in the room.
I think it's a more complex situation than maybe it's being.
And we can't handle that explanation?
No, I'm just asking for it. I'm saying I don't have it. I'm just saying I'm asking what you're hearing, and maybe it is something to look into.
Spartan Hype, when will MSU fire Smith? Never, apparently.
Yeah, my guess is
buckle up for next year. He's coming back.
Yeah. If you had a pool, an office pool, I would put it on Sunday, the Sunday after Thanksgiving, after the Maryland game, maybe even that Saturday night.
From the Woodshed, number 1, the fan base doesn't have a bloodlust for CGS's job. He and his staff are incompetent, and these last 4 weeks have shown he shouldn't keep his job through season's end. MSU football can be so much more. And 2, Jay Batt should have left Jonathan on the tarmac. Now that's a move right there.
It's not a great.
That's a good move.
Look, there is. I think you're right in the sense that there is understandable frustration and anger. There is some bloodlust too, and you can feel it. Jonathan Smith. There's people don't like his face, right? They don't like his personality. They don't like. There are things about him that are not his coaching that people are just.
It's really not his face. It's just the lack of emotion.
Right. Yeah.
His face is okay. Looks like a good angry. He could get angry.
No, I think he has a fine face. He does not have. A lot of people. I have a very punchable face, but I would not describe his face.
He's got a stupid-looking face.
I don't think he has one of the more punchable faces.
Yeah. Brad Osmus. Spartan Dog 97. MSU is going to retain Smith, not force him to make any staff changes. Marsh will leave in the portal, and they'll raise season ticket prices because the school has given up at being competitive in football. That's the best part, was when they raise prices after a season like this.
This is a pretty depressing take by Spartan Dog, but I feel like this is where a lot of people feel like prices are going to go up, Marsh is going to leave, and the thing you have to think about with Marsh is that will be frustrating because you had a pro and you didn't get much out of him. But ultimately, for the long term of the program, if you are making a coaching change and you're bringing in somebody new, that's the stuff you can't worry about. I do think the way the portal is set up now, however, gives you a chance at least, gives you a fighting chance. Because rather than the portal opening for 30 days the second somebody's let go, it is open to these guys 5 days after the new coach is announced, and then not again until January 2nd. So if you're trying to convince him to stay, the new coach, whether it be Alessio or Nick Marsh or whoever, that the setup is a little more favorable.
Hans Jurgen, number 1, cut that kicker who kicked the ball out of bounds in the last 2 minutes to set up Minnesota's game-time drive. And 2, Rossi, you and your 3-man rush defense need to get the fuck out of EL. A 3-man rush should only be used as a gimmick, not over and over. 3, fire Lindgren. Another play-action fake on 4th down after the run got stuffed on 3rd down. He had our quarterback roll out to the short side of the field, no less. And no one was buying that shit. And bonus, enough of this shit. Hire Narduzzi. At least his teams finish above 500, and we'll blitz the quarterback.
Yeah, I do not see them making a single coaching change on the staff or
ever
within the staff, or with Jonathan Smith until the end of the season. I just don't think you're gonna. I mean, he's not gonna fire Lindgren now. It's just not. It's not gonna happen.
That'd be sick, though. That'd be a nice move. Jake Hawkins, number 1, college refs are stankin' ass that even the NCAA doesn't teach them any lessons. The Zebras, who called an unfair game between MSU and Minnesota on Saturday, were behind a controversial call back in 2016 between Central Michigan and Oklahoma State, where Central won.
Good research, Jake. Wow.
Nothing gets by the Hawk. 2, I actually wanted to go to Kalamazoo, where Graham used to live, to see the Central Western game in person, but I never got around to it. I'm actually regretting it. And 3, epic World Series this was, but thanks to the Dodgers winning it again with the $1 billion-plus payroll. The owners are really push hard for a salary cap come hell or high water. Even if that means no baseball in 2027, so be prepared.
Yeah, that would suck. But it would be the MLS's chance. It's soccer's big chance. But God, baseball, you're rolling. You pulled yourself out of the depths of no young person cared to having these epic World Series.
But what if they do a salary cap and the Tigers win the first World Series with a salary cap?
And we're all in.
And then everybody. No, but I'm saying, but then everybody's like, wow, it's a tainted,
I see.
We used to do it the old way, but you guys had the first title ever.
I don't think they'll get to a salary cap. What'll be interesting is if they get somewhere like the NBA actually does have a hard cap now without saying it through the second apron. It'd be interesting if they can sort of, I don't think
but now they have aprons.
I don't think they'll be able to trick the players into a hard cap. I just don't see them getting no hard cap. Owners, it's not if owners can't help themselves or they don't. The problem baseball has too is that so many teams don't spend to a reputable or respectable, I should say, floor. You can't have the Pirates out there not spending enough, and then people saying, "Well, look what the Dodgers do." Well,
But you can't be a fan of the Pirates because when you get guys.
It's a separate issue, though.
I understand, but Skeens, it sucks all around, I'm saying, for someone that's a Pirates fan because you can't be a diehard because those guys are going to be gone when you draft them.
Yeah, I would love to see some sort of setup that made it easier to keep your stars. And whatever that looked like, I would be all for that.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Sports fandom sucks. And bonus, toes are fingers for feet.
This is the sort of analysis we count on you for.
Pound the bushes.
The deep thoughts, the deep thinking that comes from Upper Deck Jerk Guy. And fandom does sometimes suck, but it's why true fandom is great. It's why, I question European soccer fandom with American, 30-year-old hipsters because, fandom is supposed to be not something you choose, but something you feel, something that chooses you. And it sucks sometimes, but that makes it all the better when it's great, right? That's the whole point of this. That's why people care. Jason can't just decide tomorrow to be a Broncos fan. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. He's stuck for life, for better or worse. We appreciate all of you and sticking with our show, producing our show for us. We, of course, appreciate our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Go to gomuskox.com. Use the promo code Peacock for $15 off. Congratulations to Jordan Schultz. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company, of course, and Xfinity. We'll be back with some sort of show on Wednesday. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Room.